Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, after a win over then number 20 Illinois, the Oregon Ducks remain at number 1 in the AP poll, receiving 61 of 62 first-team votes. The other one going to number 2 Georgia. Penn State, Ohio State, Miami round out the top 5. Indiana stays at number 13. Washington State enters the poll at 22, and Illinois falls to number 24. In the NFL, the Giants at the Steelers wraps up Week 8 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Steelers are 6-point favorites. Game 3 of the World Series in the Bronx as the Yankees look to avoid an 0-3 hole and get back in the series. You got your law firm of Walker Buehler versus Clark Schmidt as your pitching matchup. Shohei Ohtani day-to-day after injuring his shoulder trying to steal a base. 5:08 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And fresh off their first win of the season, the Trailblazers in Sacramento to face the Kings tonight. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2. That's 302 or 1170 on Xfinity. No Shaden Sharp or Matisse Thybulle. Bob Williams III, a game-time decision. Blazers are 13-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny meringue pie.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon. Hey, welcome in. Happy Monday. Danny and Dusty with you. Boy, fall came in a hurry. It feels like officially our 6 months of rain have started, and I'm here for it.
It's officially hoodie season.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Hoodie here, hoodie there. Never changing.
Jeff
graphic
Rust.
T-shirts over there. Popular culture graphic T-shirts. Jeff Russ.
I wore in my Columbia hoodie jacket. I'm just not wearing it now.
That's right, because you've got an image to uphold. That image is you wear popular culture T-shirts every day.
And I don't need to wear a hoodie in here. I run hot.
And this is the I'm Your Huckleberry
Yeah.
Doc Holliday.
Doc Holliday, yeah. Which
Now, he screwed that up.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. There's some controversy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that he screwed it up, but there is controversy over what the actual line should be.
Well, the actual line should be
I'm your huckleberry.
I'm your hucklebearer,
Yes.
because that is somebody who carries your casket, which
Right.
is what the term was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Val Kilmer delivered the line, I'm your huckleberry.
I'm your huckleberry. So,
Yeah.
guess what? Wrong or not, I'm going to die on that hill. I'm going to stick with I'm your huckleberry.
It's a wonderful line.
Because I like huckleberries. They're tasty. Nice little huckleberry pie.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Has any movie in like the last 30 years given us more one-liners than Tombstone?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I
you got to think of Superbad, any of the Will Ferrell movies, Anchorman, Talladega Nights. I mean, those old school.
Those are just the ones off the top of the head.
Yeah.
How many do you have from
I should say non-comedy.
A non-comedy that just gives you,
Nothing but bangers. I mean, our
It might be up
drop
there.
our drop board's probably got 20 lines from Tombstone on it.
it's up there. It's up there. Okay, hey. The script.
Beef bourguignon.
Well, that's not from.
We're all just grist for the mill.
That one
There
is.
we
That
go.
could be.
Yeah.
No, it is. 100%.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The script for the movie Tombstone intended the line to be "I'm your huckleberry" and not "I'm your hucklebearer."
See, so Val Kilmer did not screw it up.
Yeah.
He said the line as it was scripted.
It was great. I mean, to be fair, it's a great line.
It is a great line.
Yeah.
Why Johnny Ringo?
Yeah. I'll be your huckleberry. It apparently has dual meanings. It can be fitting for a partner for a task, or it can be a slightly mocking term for someone insignificant. Oh, so Doc Holliday will be that person who is mocking him for being insignificant.
Okay, because that was saying okay. It's
Yeah.
like, or is he saying that Doc
Because he
Holliday
was a funny
himself
guy.
is insignificant?
He was calling himself insignificant, and he's being like, "I'll
Mocking, yeah.
be your Huckleberry,"
I gotcha.
but he'll shoot him.
See, I think
Dead.
look, I think regardless, they both fit, and
They
there's
do.
arguments for
Yeah.
both.
You could even say even irregardless.
No, that's
No,
not
you
a
cannot. Not a word.
word. Not a word. Now the
Not a
guys-
word.
I
In-
know. I love that.
and
one.
also-
Grammar police
I
over
know,
there.
no,
Wee,
no, I wanted to
wee.
fire him up.
Yeah, and also in regards to,
Yeah.
irregardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, in regards to, also not
Mm.
an actual phrase.
Okay.
You can say in regard to,
With regards to,
with regard to.
Yeah.
It's just not in regards to.
it's one of those things.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was your English lesson
Yeah.
lesson for the day.
Happy
Sean.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Monday, and we're just all going back to school today.
Would you look at that? Johnny Ringo's an educated man. Now I really hate him.
This is that's a really good question though. That now I'm going non-comedy movies that have the most one-liners.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this. I
I
would have
think-
liked to have had some time to do some homework.
I think can I submit to the court Full Metal Jacket?
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
Full
What
Metal
is
Jacket?
your major malfunction,
Yeah.
Private Pile?
This
Yeah.
is my rifle. This is my gun.
Yeah. Yep. This is for pleasure. This is for fun. But those are like funny lines
Yeah.
in a
Very
movie
dark
that is
movie.
not being considered a comedy by any stretch.
Tuboku?
I'm not sure I know that one.
No, it's from but
That is two?
oh yeah.
Okay.
A
When they're
few.
soliciting a lady of the night, that he is not Tuboku.
Oh.
Ooh, Pulp Fiction being submitted on the Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. I mean,
Yeah.
I have 5 of them on my drop board for when Danny tosses the Sports Center update
What
to me.
what genre is the movie Rounders?
Drama?
Drama.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a thriller. It's not suspense. It's not action.
Comedy either.
It's not comedy. Drama.
Yeah. Yeah. A Few
Oh.
Good Men has that
Yes.
one coming in.
Yeah.
A Few
Yeah,
Good
you
Men.
want
Can't
me
handle
on that
truth.
wall. You
Yeah.
need me on that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some good ones that are in there.
I did that whole monologue in my senior year theater class.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Um,
One of the better monologues.
Silence of the Lambs.
Hello, Clarice.
Yeah. Just that
I
alone.
was going to try to find the drop, but he beat me to
Don't.
it.
Just don't. Don't.
Are you sure?
No, yeah.
Are
Don't.
you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
I did it anyway.
Pulp Fiction, and it kind of falls in line with
That's a solid one.
The Big Lebowski, though.
Be cool, honey bunny.
Those movies are both really funny,
Yeah.
but they're not
They're not comedy.
But they're not a
intended to
comedy.
be comedies. I think
Yeah.
the Big Lebowski.
Well, how about
Big Lebowski is like it's
I think you can put Tarantino movies in like their own category.
how about we go like dark comedy?
Yeah.
And because like especially with the Big Lebowski, that's the Coen brothers, yes.
yes, Coen
Yeah,
Brothers.
I think they are kind of masters of the dark comedy genre.
Let's see what.
I have to submit a movie review real quick though.
Yeah.
Ooh.
My wife and I, she loves horror movies. I think the first movie we ever went and saw
Did
together.
you say horror
yes
movies?
Yes.
Horror.
Yes.
Big Lebowski is considered a comedy.
I can see that. It's like The Bear being nominated for comedies.
No, it's not. I
the
don't
dumbest
find
thing imaginable.
anything funny in The Bear.
No, I
it's-
find that completely anxiety ridden.
Because if you lived it,
Mm-hmm.
oh boy.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
have been in a kitchen,
Yep.
you know
Ooh.
that feeling.
Like I didn't work in a kitchen, but I worked just outside of it, adjacent to it.
Yeah.
You
and
see it.
saw all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
Well-
that's another genre we need to make is just anxiety.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Which my wife likes thrillers and horror movies. I think the first movie we ever went to see together was Hereditary, which is still like one of like the 5 most terrifying
Ooh,
movies.
remind
I've
me of that
ever-
one.
No.
Who's in
Um,
that? Is it somebody?
Nobody. I mean, there's one woman you'd know, and I can't remember her name, but her character's oh my god, terrifying. The little girl gets her head torn off
Oh,
a telephone pole.
okay. Ooh, Ann Dowd. She is a
Yes.
horrific person from what's the Handmaid's Tale?
Yes.
She's like the worst lady in there.
She plays like that kind of role again as the mother.
I've never
but-
seen
and
an
you got
episode of that.
you got Toni Collette, you got Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Okay.
people that you know, but like not like the most prominent actors. But it's an unbelievably terrifying movie. Made my skin crawl.
Yeah, if you can't recognize Ann Dowd, just go look her up and you'll be like, oh, now I get it. She's always a super a-hole.
But we watched. We were gonna watch the new Aliens movie. Aliens Romulus. I heard it was really good, and it was pretty damn scary. Which I was like, cool. And she's like, well, I saw a preview for this, and I want to watch this instead, which means I'm watching this. And I was like, all right, fine. So it's called Strange Darling, and it is the most qualified piece of crap I have ever seen in my entire life. I have never
kind of gives that away.
I have never, ever in my life gotten into a movie and wanted it to be over faster. Like, I couldn't even leave because I was in my own house. It was the worst thing I have ever seen. It was horrendous. I was reading the reviews beforehand. I'm like, kind of got myself excited.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, it's a thrilling, suspenseful movie that you just won't see coming. And I was like,
you were at home?
yeah.
Dude, easy way out of that is, I gotta go to the bathroom. You just go in there.
And then you start doom scrolling and starting fights on Twitter.
Yeah, just start arguing with people on social media.
I would have made her mad. We're spending doing the couple time together. And
Like, oh, babe, I'm sorry. I got a wicked case of the bubble guts.
you had to put in the time. But
I know, but that's like that can get you a good 30, 45 minutes out of it.
Right? Exactly.
So we get.
I had to go through 3 doses of Pepto.
I'm back, though.
We get
For
done
you.
with the movie, and she's like, "So, what'd you think?" I'm like, "The worst movie I've ever seen."
Yep.
It was so bad. Like, I couldn't believe there was not the people who were writing these reviews. I think they were paid bots.
Oh.
Because there was nothing thrilling, there was nothing suspenseful, and the plot was so easy to see through. It was just like, what? It was so they're reading the reviews because it wasn't the critic score. I go by the public score. I'm assuming the public people who watched it were all film students trying to outdo each other's pretentiousness in the reviews. And I'm just like,
I hate
this
movies like that.
It was an art house, like, screw it, I'm going to spoil it. The very end of it,
That's fine. I don't think
she
anybody's
dies.
I don't think anybody's going to be like, no!
she gets gut shot in the side of in the passenger seat of a truck, and they spend 5 minutes single framing on her, never cutting away as she dies. And the artistic take is it fades from color to black and white as she dies. But they stay on her, I'm not kidding, for 5 minutes. No other, like, it's just the sound of the truck driving and her dying. And I'm like, and that's the movie. There's so many times they linger on things. You know what Tarantino lingers
It's realistic. That's how people really die.
Yeah.
You got to actually watch
You fade to black and white.
What you don't know is that somebody actually bled out and she died.
Yeah.
That's like she's method, so she's like, no, actually, just shoot me. I want to play this out.
But it made me viscerally angry.
Oh,
Like, that's like, I couldn't wait for it to be over.
those are annoying.
And I'm like, I'm getting irritated as it's,
Yeah.
I'm like, would you just get to the credits so I can go do
I can hear
literally anything else? Oh, she was like, I go, what did you think? She's like, there were like 3 parts that I liked about it. I go, worst movie you've ever seen? She's like, it's up there. And I was like, okay, like,
Yeah. All right. At least she agreed with you.
but
Good.
she's picked a couple stinkers in a row, so she's
She's
cut off for a little bit.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But at least she's acknowledging it. Like, this is not
She
good.
put her head down. She's like, I'm sorry, I failed
bad.
us. Yeah, that's so. I get to pick the next couple. So,
I was, as somebody who took a lot of media arts classes, I was stuck in some of those
film lit
film
type
movies.
classes. Yeah. Oh God.
I was not a class favorite, as they'd be like, somebody would recommend a film and then they'd start, I'd be like, oh God. Loud enough for everybody to hear
Yeah.
it and just be like, ugh.
It's-
And then they'd start in afterwards and they'd be like, I love this. I was like, what are you talking about?
Have you ever
It
noticed
was
that, like,
terrible.
call-
What are we
like-
reaching for here?
when you ask Hollywood actors, or not you, like the collective media asks Hollywood actors like their favorite movies of all time, there's always some like movie from like the 70s or 80s. It's never anything like remotely new. And there's always like, oh, I love the original Wizard of Oz or Casablanca. And it's like, and then they throw in like one like movie from the 60s or 70s. It's like some art house niche thing. Like, you never watched that and it wasn't good. Shut up. Why are you pretending no one cares? Like things that are good.
Yeah. Well, I do like the original Wizard of Oz still. We watched that not too long
Everybody
ago
loves
with the
the
kids.
original
It was
Wizard of Oz.
actually, it wasn't that bad. Like, I mean, it's kind of laughable, the special effects, but when you think about like, oh, I don't know,
1927.
100 years
Yeah,
ago
yeah.
they were pulling that off. It was like, whoa, that's actually pretty good because it's like
I
when
mean,
my
that I-
10-year-old
that I
is
get.
like, that doesn't look real. I'm like, basically they're working with like you.
Yeah.
Like you should be, could you do anything better? Because that's the technological
Know-how
availability
they had.
they
at the time.
had. Like, this is pretty good.
You guys want to hear a wild one?
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I was a drama kid. I was a drama nerd. The first play I did, it was The Wizard of Oz, and our high school director was known for going way over the top and stuff, and he did. And we had like big budgets, like we had like $20,000 for like a spring musical, like budget. And so for the first screening, for the first actual night of the play, we had one of the original Munchkins in attendance at our play.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that was part of the budget, was to bring in one
No,
of
I
the
don't know about
original
that. I'm
Munchkins?
just saying, but yeah, but we had, so this was 1993.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So
that
they were-
movie was made in 37, 38.
So one of the Lollipop Guild saw you.
Yeah. I was a Munchkin as well.
Oh, were you?
I was a Munchkin.
Wow.
I had to pay my dues.
Did they get mad at you for appropriating their culture?
Oh no, we had a lot of us as high school kids as Munchkins. And but we also had a slew of like 20 like kindergartners and first graders also coming in and playing Munchkins.
And you were comparable in height?
Well, we know each other, don't we, Mr. Shortman?
Wow. Wow.
It's just a question that I had to ask. Like,
Just, you know.
you were just out there with
Well,
a lot
for some
right
of us, you know, they hide us
alongside.
behind, you know, bricks and other
Oh,
podiums and such.
we got a couple of other good ones before we roll on here. Non-comedies that are probably the most quotable in our lexicon. This started with Tombstone and Jeff Russ T-shirt of the day. I'm your Huckleberry. Shawshank Redemption. That's a good one.
Yeah, that
Shawshank is a good one.
I think if you have somebody who has an insane voice, Morgan Freeman, Sam Elliott, like those lines are just gonna resonate in your
Field
head.
of Dreams can
Yeah.
be put in there too, like Field
James
of
Earl Jones,
Yep. And then Point Break.
Build it, they will come.
I mean, Point Break. You have that Keanu Reeves.
I am
I'm
an FBI agent.
Back off, war child. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them there. Yeah.
I am an FBI agent.
That was really loud.
That's one of the hot ones in here for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why.
Star Wars as well.
Oh yeah, but
I
also one of the most misquoted
Oh yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
And not Star Wars, but Empire Strikes Back.
Isn't it qualified as like a space opera?
Oh, come on.
I think it is.
See, now
but
that is
look,
exactly what
no.
I'm talking about with what are we doing
Look,
here?
yeah, and that's not an actual genre.
What are we doing?
Yes, it is. The Star Wars film is a well-known example of the space opera genre.
No, it is a.
This
look,
is straight out of Encyclopedia Britannica.
I
brother.
couldn't give two S's about what Encyclopedia Britannica says.
Golly.
Okay, you could go with like a sci-fi fantasy, sure, but no
It's
space
a
opera.
fart sniffer genre right
I'm
there.
gonna guess they have about 5 movies they include in that genre.
Well, there's at least 6.
Yeah, at least 6 now. Bunch of spin-offs too,
God, I hate
like
you guys.
series and whatnot. Yeah. All right. Well, we're off and rolling.
Yeah,
It's been a start.
It's Monday, baby.
It has been a start. We got a lot of football we got to get to, and we got a lot of basketball to get to too. Blazers, but they came out, laid an egg out the gate, but they gave us 2 back-to-back.
Schneidless now.
You know, it was
sorry, I was looking for a good quarter dozen eggs.
they were competitive and competent
Mhm.
in their last 2 games.
Mhm.
And that's what I want to see. Maybe not the results. Well, one of the results.
Yeah.
But they're going to win some games.
Sure.
Come on, what are we doing here? So we got to talk the hometown team as well, and we will. We got to start within the NFL, though. A wild weekend and a lot of NFL this Monday. And where it's got to start is prayers answered in D.C. and questions arising in Chicago. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
last play. And it's going to be getting longer by the second. All the way back at the 30-yard line. Now you can step into it. Here comes the Hail Mary with the game on the line. And the ball is caught! Caught! It's a miracle! It's Noah Brown! Oh my goodness! This town is going crazy!
Jim Nantz on the call as Jaden Daniels finds Noah Brown in the end zone, a Hail Mary, giving the number 2 pick the win over the number 1 pick in this past year, spring's NFL draft. 18-15, the Commanders beat the Chicago Bears. And a great call by Nantz, but can I just say a little tip of the cap, Tony Romo for laying out on that and not saying anything?
Finally.
Because
just letting it happen.
Yeah, Romo used to be the, I don't know. He just laid out, let Nantz say the entire thing, because that is a really tough thing to do for a broadcaster, because I don't know about you guys, but when I saw that play, I just yelled.
Mm-hmm.
I just said, oh, or whoa. Everybody that I was watching the game with, everybody said something in the moment. It's a tough thing not to say anything at all. Yeah. And Romo just kind of laid out and let Nantz make the call. And
do
it was
you
perfect.
want perfect examples of that? We'll pull up the radio calls from either side later on.
Yeah,
later on.
We do have those, because those, it's an emotional time.
Yeah, I mean, you got what they took over the on offense with 23 seconds to go.
Yep.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Because remember, the Bears go down and score. Williams, a couple big chunk plays, gets the Bears right down in it. It was super interesting because both quarterbacks make plays in the final minute after really both of them struggling all game. And it was just...
Well, I think more so Caleb Williams and
yes.
Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
And look, Jaden Daniels, nobody's
mentioning that he's playing with
his
ribs. Yeah.
Like, that was the crazy thing about with Jaden Daniels is his effectiveness, especially throughout the entirety of the game, with his ribs that had him questionable. The shot worked.
Yeah.
And
because he was literally a last-second thing.
Yeah, he ended up playing, not just playing, but playing effectively and winning a football game for him.
No, I thought both defenses were even better than I thought they'd end up being in that game, Commanders especially. I don't know what the Bears were doing in the first half of that game. I didn't really get what they were trying to build on, but I guess you tip your cap to the Commanders.
Well, yeah, you do. Because they've been doing that to a lot of teams this year. I mean, they've been playing well enough to win. Look, the Commanders nobody should believe them as a Super Bowl contender, because they aren't.
But they're a good little team.
There were plenty of opportunities for Chicago to win that game. And I think that's coming out of this is the biggest question mark moving forward. Chicago is, look, that win, Washington earned that win.
Yes.
It was not a fluke and Hail Mary lost on a 50-50 ball. The fact that the Bears squandered away so many opportunities to slam the door shut
and just couldn't
on Washington and didn't do it, that is what won Washington the game, and they earned because they took up the opportunities that were given to them. They took advantage of them. Chicago turning the ball over and fumbling on the 1-yard line going in to score by handing the ball off to your backup center as your power back, which I don't have as big of a problem with that.
And it was like, whatever.
I don't.
If it worked, nobody would. If it worked,
The result is exactly why people have issue with it and are criticizing Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus about it. But it was wedge blocking. You're on the 1-yard line. You probably got a guy that squats like 500 pounds carrying the ball, and you just say, just get the ball, push it into the end zone. Everybody in that Bears locker room had said, no, we rep that all the time. This wasn't just something that was like on a whim. Hey, now we're going to do it. It is something that they practice, they have practiced, and they probably will continue to practice for weeks. That fumble, that hurt because Chicago could have slammed the door shut.
Right then and there.
No opportunity to do it, right? And take a lead, but you would have given the ball back to Washington with plenty of time to go down the field. What ended up happening was Washington had to punt. Chicago got good field position. They scored 23 seconds to go after almost leaving that door wide open for Washington to hold on to their lead. Chicago found a way to take the lead back, right? But what happened after that, that is where I will go, that's coaching malpractice. That is where Matt Eberflus needs to have this one pinned on him. He's a defensive-minded head coach. There's 23 seconds, one timeout, and they allow a throw over the middle to Zach Ertz. Take away the middle when the team has a timeout. You have to defend them straight up, okay? Ertz gets an 11-yard catch, and then they have no timeouts. You know that. Everybody knows that. They need to get yardage to get to the point where Jaden Daniels can make a heave to the end zone, and you play soft and you allow a 12-yard out as easy as could be for Terry McLaurin, who catches ball on the sideline and puts him in the position to get that. After that happens, so they got two uh-ohs, okay? Then you rush 3 with a spy. Jaden Daniels isn't going to tuck the ball and run 52 yards for the final play. You don't need a spy. No. Right?
Either send him or drop him in coverage. Pick one.
You're sending 3 with a spy, so you're really only sending 3, and you have 5 guys to block up front. You got one corner in Tyreek Stevenson who's talking smack to the fans as the play is going on.
They put a clock on him. It was 4 seconds after the ball was snapped before he gets over.
And think of that. Because they rushed only 3, it bailed him out too, because Jaden Daniels, if they rush more, probably has to throw the ball
sooner.
And that guy's turned around looking out of position. They ran 3 up that side, and I don't know, but what ended up happening was Jaden Daniels ran the longest play since Next Gen Stats has been recording since 2016. Okay, so we're 8 years. He ran a play where 17 seconds in real time elapsed. He held onto the ball for 12.79.
It's insane.
Threw the ball in the air. He scrambled 40.7 yards on that play.
Good God.
Because you're rushing 3.
Yeah.
And the offensive line for Washington, amazing job by those guys. Because
they kept shifting and knocking guys off their path and just doing enough for Jaden to be able to walk in. And look, God, him and Penix, man, they throw some of the prettiest deep balls I've ever seen.
That was an incredible play, man. It was an incredible play. And then 29, who was talking smack to the fans, goes up, tries to knock it down, but ball bounces off his hand. Noah Brown touchdown. Unbelievable play.
We were watching it in press row during the game yesterday, and the collective, oh my God! I turned, I picked the Bears -3 as one of my picks. So, and I took back Eric Gunderson was sitting behind me. I'm like, Bears are going to cover. All right, 23 seconds to go. Not a pretty one, but it's kissing cousin. I'll take it. It's fine. And then that happened. I was like, you have got to be kidding me.
So Stevenson here, exactly how good is he, and is he in danger of being cut this week after doing that dumb stuff?
He's in the game, and in that situation, he's obviously valuable enough for them to keep around. But you want to talk about a short leash. I don't know if it gets much,
because that's
more.
literally one of the dumbest things that you can do.
It's up there. He is now. I think Schefter had it. Apologized to his teammates this morning. So.
Well, he did like an apology in front of the camera too. Went to social media immediately. Like there was so much dumb from the Bears. Like Eberflus had to have been on a short leash entering the season.
Yeah,
we all knew that. You hire Shane Waldron. Well, these are the Jackson Smith and Jigba. Good luck with that.
Yes.
That we heard during the combine, right, or Super Bowl Radio Row, where he was like, no comment. Good luck with that.
The Bears feel like on offense and defense that they have the talent, but it's like if you put the gears in the proper spots, they would be significantly better than they are. They run, but they're not optimized. Does that make sense?
They would be, I don't know, like the Commanders. Which, from a talent standpoint, a raw talent standpoint,
the Bears are probably ahead.
The Bears are ahead.
Yeah.
They are. But, I mean, I don't think it is
particularly
arguable
on the defensive side of the ball.
In weapon-wise offensively. I mean, they are. They are ahead.
Because they just have really, McLaurin and Robinson.
Yeah. And
as the standouts.
You have got actual weapons around Caleb Williams. You went out and you got a Rome Odunze, who actually we saw some Rome Odunze. Yep. That was good to see.
Yeah.
And they've the Bears put money in.
And
to
DeAndre
this
Swift
roster.
is being a dude, continued dude.
And so when you have a coach stand up and say things like this after the game,
because you're defending touchdown, right? You're defending touchdown there, and them throwing the ball for 13 yards or 10 yards, whatever that is, doesn't really matter. It's always going to come down to that last play. And it came down to a 2-second play to the last play, and we got to execute on that one.
No. The
Not
12-yard
getting
gain.
to 12-yard, yeah.
Think of where Jaden Daniels didn't even get the ball to the end zone on the throw that won the game.
He threw it like 65 yards in the air, and it landed like, 3 yards short?
Yeah, where it got tipped was like on the 3 or 2 yard line. It's like, no, those 12 yards are really damn important.
Because there's a 0% chance it gets near the end zone if you don't give up 12.
The other thing that made me chuckle out of this, a tale of two radio calls.
Ooh.
First, I give you the Washington Commanders Hail Mary call.
Form at the goal line. They bring 3. Daniels backing up. He's just going to have to let one fly. Goes to the right side. Steps away from the defenders. Gives himself some time. Now steps up, fires. Heads towards the end zone. It is
That's like a grand slam in the third inning of a World Series. Yes, go, baby. Ball popped up into the air, right into the arms of Noah Brown. Jaden Daniels extended the play over and over and over. Walk-off touchdown.
WBIG FM on the call, Bram Weinstein. That, again, Romo, not saying a word. That is what everybody was kind of feeling. And I bet you Romo just had his mic off and was yelling just like he was.
Yeah.
You couldn't understand what happened, but that's the beauty of kind of radio calls like that is that
I love
we
the
all know
pause
what happened.
when the ball's in the air and how long the ball
Yeah.
is. He lets it go.
It was in the air for 4 seconds.
It's like it's just silent for that 4 seconds. And you're just like, because you just feel like the distance that the ball is traveling. And it's I love that stuff.
The Bears. Sad.
To the left, McLaren, and that's where Jaden Daniels is eyeballing. Jaden Daniels sifting back, being pressured. Jaden Daniels hemmed into the pocket, looking for blockers, looking for something. He's got plenty of time. Launches, deep pass into the area of the end zone. Tipped, and it's caught by Noah Brown. He was the tip man, and this place is now gone into bedlam mode. Washington with the miracle finish. The breakup pass into the waiting arms of Noah Brown. Nobody back there. Crushing loss. 18-15 Washington. Hail Mary, 2 seconds left. Or as they like to say here, Hail Washington. That is the gut punch of gut punches.
Yeah, that sucks.
Sound like you
ESPN
said
100.
Gut pinch.
Yeah. Well, I love how they're...
That is the gut pinch of gut punches.
Yeah, gut pinch of gut punches, huh? What is a gut pinch?
Somewhere between a pinch and a punch?
Look, you talk for a living, you're bound to mispronounce something.
no, it's great.
None of us know how that goes.
Yeah, I know.
It's awful to be like, oh, man. I like how we rolled with it, though.
Yeah.
That's the gut pinch of gut punches.
Hail Mary, hell yes.
I love how their color guy, he was like, ah!
But
And then I guarantee you their producer was like, cutting his mic,
Yeah,
and we know what's going to be coming out of his mouth next, and I don't want to get fired because of it.
Yeah, either that or the play-by-play guy gave him a nice sharp elbow right in his ribs.
Yeah.
Did you see the Commander Social Team video that came out of it? Like it was either Commander Social or NFL Social, but they had like the steady cam rushing the field in all of the pandemonium, like as soon as the play ends. It was like a college atmosphere. It was just subtle, but it was really cool because like it's just sprinting from the sideline into the mess.
That's sweet.
That is the end zone. I was like, oh, this is cool. It very much feels like a field storming in college football.
That would have been like if like Blazer Social would have gotten in the dog pile after Dame hit his shot. right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, like
instead of
if
getting,
they
like,
would have
the
just
freeze frame,
yeah,
but, like,
they would have
actually,
just
like,
gone
digging
in,
in,
gone in there with it. Yeah, that was awesome. That game really does highlight, though, in the NFL, what coaching matters. I think both those quarterbacks are going to be really good for a really long time. Caleb Williams did not play well. That first half was
he was atrocious in the first half.
really stinking bad. Really, really, really bad. But I think that also goes to coaching, right? And Dan Quinn, Colin Cowherd may not like him because he wears his hat backwards on the sideline, right? He is a guy that it appears he has learned from the shortcomings that he had as a head coach before, which he is not getting in the way of Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury in that offense, he's just saying, hey, you do you, you let it rip, and I'm going to do me, and I'm not going to care or think about what any other person thinks of me, my staff, or what we're doing out here. We're just going to go play ball. And they looked more confident. They looked more prepared. And they looked like the better team. And that was a situation where you go,
Which is
Bears,
such a weird thing to say about the Commanders.
Well, the Bears, because of talent, they were going to win that game. Yeah. But their coaching let them down. Their coaching got them in the position where they end up losing on a Hail Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, coaching matters still.
Yes. I mean, in the NFL more than any other sport. But, we've talked about this NFC North and the Bears being the team that's going to bring up the rear. And I still think they're going to be like a 9-8 team.
Yeah.
I think they're going to finish the season.
It's really damn good.
They're a good team. But I think they are the single biggest candidate outside of maybe the Eagles for coach could solve a lot of problems, and they could be very, very good very fast.
No doubt about it. All right, some of your feedback on this, and then we'll shift gears to the Blazers when Danny and Dusty. Here's Rust.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan after a win over then number 20 Illinois, the Oregon Ducks remain at number 1 in the AP poll, receiving 61 of 62 first-team votes. The other going to number 2, Georgia. Penn State, Ohio State, Miami round out your top 5. Indiana stays at 13. Washington State enters the poll at 22. And Illinois falls to number 24. In the NFL, the Giants at the Steelers wraps up Week 8 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. Steelers are 6-point favorites. ESPN reporting tests showed no significant damage to Packers quarterback Jordan Love's groin, and his availability for Sunday against the Lions is up in the air depending on how he feels throughout the week. The Chiefs have acquired pass rusher Joshua Uche from the Patriots, reportedly in exchange for a 2026 sixth-round pick. Game 3 of the World Series in the Bronx as the Yankees look to avoid an 0-3 hole and get back into the series. Walker Buehler gets the ball for the Dodgers. Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. Shohei Ohtani day-to-day after injuring his shoulder trying to steal a base in Game 2. 5:08 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN. Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And on the hard court, fresh off their first win of the season, the Trailblazers in Sacramento to face the Kings tonight. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2. That's 302 or 1170 on Xfinity. They're now in HD, by the way. No Shaden Sharp or Matisse Thybulle. Robert Williams III, game time decision. Blazers are 13-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has new shirts from the fan shows and hosts you love. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com.
Hey, All right, the Vancouver Ford text line, not kind to the Bears. That was a Chicago version of a swinge. That text coming in.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
That was a SWINJ for sure.
Yeah, you think you've got it, and then you get to the very end, and you got a J and not a G.
Yep. I'm a Bears fan. It might have been a great day for Ben Johnson. Oh, Ben Johnson. They're going to back up the Brinks truck and try to get Ben Johnson.
In division?
Yeah.
Oof.
I don't know if Ben Johnson wants that, because then I think at that point, Dan Campbell hates you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want Dan Campbell to hate you.
Then he might unleash the fury.
Yeah, I don't know if you want that. I don't know if you want that at all. Oh, man.
Could be tough.
Oh, boy. Here's an interesting one. You know, if that defensive back, Tyreek Stevenson, if he is still talking with the trash to the fans, do the Bears maybe win that game? Like somebody else is in position and they knock it down?
Instead of being knocked up.
The old butterfly effect of like, because there's this still shot of like 20 Bears fans pointing at him to look at the play going on behind him. Like if maybe you go hot tub time machine and then he goes back and nothing happens. Like they go, hey, we're not going to, hey, put your hands down. Just let this play out.
And then he just ends up being oh, look at this dummy. Lucky they ended up winning.
Yeah.
Hang on. Let me go Lugal this.
Yeah.
God, that was great.
Yeah. I mean, what if that happened? That'd be great. That'd be great. All right. We're putting that one to bed. Bears, they're in trouble as long as Matt Eberflus is the coach, which I think is not going to be much longer. All right. I don't think it'll be much longer.
It's kind of crazy. Like I don't think it'll be an in-season firing unless things go sideways. But the team that is going to show market improvement and be on the right track, and the head coach is going to get fired because it's so janky.
Yeah, yeah. All right, we got a lot of football that we need to get to. We also got to get to the Blazers in their win. We got to carve out enough time for that.
Much ball, so much wow.
Yeah, let's get into a little bit of college football though. Coming up in our next two seggies here, because
there's a lot of that.
Top of the hour, the Oregon Ducks continue to look like the number one team in the country, and the Oregon State Beavers did not at Cal. This is a really tough spot when you are Oregon State and kind of what they're going through at this point. We'll get to that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. The Oregon State Beavers went down to Berkeley, and they got hammered, my man. 44-7 the final. It was 44-0 before the Beavs got on the board. And this is kind of the nightmare scenario for Oregon State fans that's kind of played out with, we talk about this all the time about the top-level teams in college football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which ones can withstand the war of attrition are going to be the ones that are standing at the end of the year. Well, it also happens when you have a roster, when your head coach leaves, and, Oregon State and, both Washington State put into a position where your roster gets rated, your conference is in flux, so it's not as easy to replenish through the portal as it is in some other places. I thought both of those schools did a really good job of being aggressive and making the best roster that they could. That war of attrition you are seeing at Oregon State, and you have for the last handful of weeks, the injuries, the depth issues that do arise when you get to this point in the season, they're killing Oregon State.
Yeah, those margins were paper thin, razor thin, whatever euphemism you want to go with. And they start picking up knocks along the offensive line. They start picking up knocks in the running back room. They start picking up knocks, and you're just going, okay, when's the dam going to break? And, well, it's been the last 2 weeks. And look,
both trenches.
Yeah.
Both trenches just
wiped out.
Wiped out.
And, you can take a look at the very top of college football in Ohio State. They lose their left tackle against Oregon, and now they can't run the ball against Nebraska.
Yep.
So what do you think it means when Oregon State is losing guys on their offensive line?
And that was the question heading in for, I've been saying this about Ohio State. They got the best roster in college football except for depth on the offensive line. Their front line, their 5 starters are really good. Yeah. But when you start getting guys dinged, even Ohio State is not impervious to injuries on your offensive line. You look at Oregon State, offensive and defensive line, you take those knocks, the depth falls apart, and it leads to a game where the Bees were outgained 482 to 200.
Yeah, they got more than doubled up. And, the thing that even more than the yards, I guess the yards is kind of the telling stat coming out of this, is Oregon State had 1 third down conversion the entire game.
They 3 for 5 on fourth. But over half, I thought the bigger one, not just you got 200 yards, over half their yards came on 5 plays.
Yeah. They just couldn't string anything together.
5 plays accounted for over half of Oregon State's yards. And
that's fine if you're getting like 5 70-yard plays.
They're
they're like big back-breaking scoring plays. God, what was the game this weekend? Lions. The Lions had like 100 yards of total offense at halftime.
The more incredible part about that Lions game, when you go that one, it was 52-14, 35 of their points. They only needed 83 yards of offense.
That's kind of what I mean. Like
83 yards of offense.
If you're getting like pick sixes or something or big back breaking plays, like
they had a 90-yard punt return for a touchdown, an interception return to the 23, an interception return to the 12. You had a 64-yard punt return that gave you the ball on the 22-yard line, a fumble recovery that gave you the ball on the 26-yard line.
So if those plays are leading to scoring plays immediately, it's fine. You're like.
225 yards of total offense. Their punt returner, Khalif Raymond,
had
190 yards in punt return yards for Detroit, and their offense had 225.
Had himself a Devin Hester sort of day.
If that is happening, you're gonna be okay.
But that's not what was happening for Oregon State. Also,
this is a perfect time for a bye week, and both the Cougs and the Beavs have that bye week this week. Got
to give Cal a little bit of credit too, because Cal, they're not a wagon, but they're a good team.
No. Cal is
good. They're a good team.
Cal lost 4 straight games by 1 score. Yeah. They are not a bad team by any stretch, but they had just been on the wrong end of it time and time again, and they got right in a big way against Oregon State. Good time for a bye week, Bee fans.
Total aside here. Are you surprised by how unproductive Jaden Ott has been? He was one of the best running backs in the country.
He got hurt early,
and he's just not been a shell of himself.
Yeah, but you didn't need to be on Saturday. I mean, Fernando Mendoza.
Oh, God, such a great name.
It's a fun name to say.
That dude is going to be a legend in Berkeley forever. And not even like in the sense of like, oh, he won a Rose Bowl. He's just going to pile up numbers there and end up being a dude. He needs a signature win. Had they gotten the game against Miami, he could maybe be like Diego Pavia.
Yeah.
And never have to buy a drink in that town again.
Well, unlike Nashville, where, I mean, they may not care about Vanderbilt, but they care about football in Nashville. Yeah. They don't care about football in Berkeley.
No. Maybe Mendoza's got some sort of like political leanings that might help him later in life. I'm like, I'm a Cal quarterback.
Yeah, dude, he'll run for office. Yeah. That's for sure.
See?
All right.
He'll beat Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, Pac-12's got a team ranked, though. How about them Cougs?
Hey.
Did you watch any of that game at all? It's okay if you didn't.
I watched the box score ticker.
Boy. What is going on at Snapdragon Field? Or Snapdragon Stadium?
Great name for a stadium.
Yeah.
What is a Snapdragon?
Snapdragon is, I think they're like a web developer.
I believe you're right.
I guess that makes sense. It's
San Diego
these days.
San Diego quite possibly could be like the easiest place to grow grass in America. They were playing on a beach, dude. Like every time somebody would move, it was just like
sand kicking up.
Yeah, it looked like something
moisture to be able to really grow grass, though.
Yeah, use a damn sprinkler. I don't know. Like it's not like you're in a climate that is not conducive to growing grass. Like my goodness, that was ridiculous what we saw. It was like all dead everywhere. Come on. Get out there with the hose, guys. Jeez. Look like little Kelly Field out in Banks, man, where we got like just pile sand on it. It's going to turn to mud. No. God, that was gross to watch. Anyways,
you can
Cougs are ranked.
You can major in surfing down there, so makes sense.
Yeah, bro. This is sick. Shred that gnar, bro. All right, let's get to the number one Oregon Ducks. Absolutely rolled Illinois Saturday. This team, every time there's an answer or a question, they seem to find an answer. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
First on the Fan, after a win over then number 20 Illinois, the Oregon Ducks remain at number 1 in the AP poll, receiving 61 of 62 first-team votes, with the other going to number 2 Georgia. Penn State, Ohio State, Miami round out your top 5. Indiana stays at 13. Washington State enters the poll at 22, and Illinois falls to number 24. The Giants at the Steelers wraps up Week 8 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Steelers are 6-point favorites. ESPN reporting tests showing no significant damage to Packers quarterback Jordan Love's groin, and his availability for Sunday against the Lions is up in the air depending on how he feels throughout the week. The Chiefs acquiring pass rusher Joshua Uche from the Patriots, reportedly in exchange for a 2026 sixth-round pick. Over on the Diamond Game 3 of the World Series in the Bronx, the Yankees looking to avoid an 0-3 hole and get back in the series. Walker Buehler getting the ball for the Dodgers. Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. Shohei Ohtani day-to-day after injuring his shoulder, trying to steal a base in Game 2. 5:08 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And on the hard court, fresh off their first win of the season, the Trailblazers in Sacramento facing the Kings tonight. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2. That's 302 or 1170 on Xfinity. No Shaden Sharp or Matisse Thybulle. Bob Williams III, a game-time decision. Blazers are 13-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Hot Corner, now in its new time. Tuesdays at 7 after Isaac and Soup on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. This is Danny and Dusty.
It's not your problem, Doc. You don't have to mix up in this. That is a hell of a thing for you to say to me.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
I'm your Huckleberry.
The Fan.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Monday. Thank you for being a part of our day, letting us be a part of yours, whether it's on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080am The Fan, or youtube.tv/1080 AM The Fan. Party on, party people. We've got the Oregon Ducks cruising right along, man. That was about as dominant of a first half as you could expect from a team.
Yeah,
Saturday afternoon.
Watching that game, I was like, I thought the Ducks would win handily. I didn't think they'd cover because that 25 it opened at. That's a massive number. And I'm sitting there going, okay, let's see how this game goes. Oregon does what they do offensively, and I'm like, okay, maybe a little bit more resistance from Illinois there. But then one play was like, all right, I'm out on this game. Illinois, they try to get the deep play. Altmaier throws the most ridiculous arm punt I've ever seen. It was like, what did you see here that made you think that, 1, you should throw this, 2, you should throw it there, 3, use that throw to get it there? And I was like, if this is what they are going with, they have no chance in this game, and it's already over. And then Oregon just responded and said, watch this. And then they just put quite the smackdown on them.
Pressure, man.
It was incredible.
Pressure did it to him. And I was, heading into it, we knew Oregon had a speed advantage, and that was pretty clearly outlined leading into that game of Oregon had an advantage athleticism-wise. I was shocked, quite frankly, the physicality that, or lack thereof, that Illinois had, and on both sides of the ball. It was a game where you looked at, Gabe Akis was a non-factor largely in that game. He had a sack, I believe.
Yes. 1 sack, 1 TFL.
He was a non-factor for most of that game. Up front, on the interior of the offensive line, that was where Illinois was weak, guard to guard. I think I said that about 1 billion times leading up to that game. Guard to guard, Illinois was not good, and Derek Carmen, Jamari Caldwell and company, hell, even Amarion Winston moving into the nose on the goal line made life hell for Illinois up front. And I think that is where this Oregon team is so dangerous, is when you are good in the middle of your defensive line and you are getting a pushback, guys like Luke Altmaier, who is more athletic than he gets credit for, they are forced to roll out of the pocket, and you're going to Tatum Tuioti. You're going to Mateo Uiagalelei. You're going into, Devin Jackson, who's, bending around and filling on the outside. There's not a speed advantage that you have even with your athletic quarterback. Oregon is playing at an insanely high level defensively.
Yep.
And on offense, the balance that they have shown, they put up 363 yards in the first half. They outgained Illinois 363 to 86 in the first half.
Yeah, it was not remotely close. And Oregon, obviously, they only scored 3 points after the half because they just buttoned it up and said. And I've seen some Oregon fans who are like, "Why aren't they pouring it on?" I think Lanning's doing the right thing, and just, hey, we've got this game. We'll put away, salt it, move on to the next. Get out of here healthy. And I think that they're doing the right thing. And I think Duck fan is maybe a little too spoiled or holding on to the Chip Kelly era of like, let's hang 70 on somebody. It's like, that's not how this works. When you're a team at the very top, once you've got a game taken care of, you just move on. You are already on to the next.
Yeah,
just
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
And I think that, when Gabriel he threw for what, 243 of his 291 in the first half.
Yeah.
You're just saying, all right, we're going to get out of here. I do understand that there is a lot of Oregon fan that is, I don't know if the word is concerned with Dylan Gabriel throwing interceptions.
He does. Look, if you're talking about the highest level competition, he gets out of it against Ohio State. But between now and Ohio State, again, now Will Johnson will test you this weekend. Don't mess around throwing near that guy. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. You float one near that man, it's gone. He's going to take that thing to the house. But Michigan's offense is so putrid. I don't think it's something you truly have to worry about kind of going forward. But Gabriel is flirting with like what he can and can't get away with in certain areas. And I guess if you're going to do it in these situations and not against, the cream of the crop.
I've seen, and this is kind of what in those games that have been tight and in the games that are of consequence, have any of his interceptions been thrown in those?
No.
He had 3 low red area interceptions in that back-to-back with UCLA, where Brian Addison jumps the route, Tez slips, he goes pick 6. Okay. Same action, tried to get it to Tez, picked off. Michigan State baited him into it. He held onto the ball for far too long, got off of his first read, Zach Grace, way too late to try to find Herbert. Linebacker makes a really good play against Michigan State, and that was one where Dylan Gabriel said it after the game. He said, look, sometimes I get a little greedy. I try to see if I can make that throw. He's trying to test what he can get away with. In these games, the Purdue game, it was what, 28-0?
Yeah. I mean, at that point in time, again, if you're going to try it, like that.
Sails it high, goes through his receiver's hands, gets intercepted, right? The Illinois one, ball was underthrown. He actually had a few. If I was going to say the thing that I was like, he underthrew 3 balls in that game. One got picked off. One was a touchdown to Justice Lowe, where Justice Lowe had 2 steps on the guy. Still was a touchdown, but a little bit underthrown. He had to come back to the ball, gets tackled as he's going into the end zone, right? There were a few balls that were underthrown. The interception, I am not overly concerned, because if you're going to try to work on, all right, what can I do? Go ahead and do it when you're up big. That's where we've seen his interceptions, right? Or games that you feel like they're not tight games. I look at the 2 games that were tight. He went 18 of 21 for 243 and 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against Boise. Against Ohio State, 23 of 34, 341 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
That's what I'm saying.
Plays a lot more safe then. If you're going to do it, try to get away with it in these games.
Yeah. And quick shout out to Noah Whittington, because that safety is still picking his gear up at the goal line.
Noah Whittington.
He absolutely dump trucked that man. Good Lord.
I feel so good for a guy like Noah Whittington because I know you saw it on social media the week prior. It was, what is Noah Whittington doing getting all these carries? Why are they still leaning on Noah Whittington? He's still trying to get back from a major knee injury, and it's taken him a long time. I think he might be back.
He got his legs underneath him.
We saw it at Purdue as the game went on. He got better, and he had some explosives. Against Illinois, you saw that's what Noah Whittington was doing before he got injured against Colorado. Lowering his shoulder, being a dual threat, out of the backfield as a receiver, dump trucking dudes behind his pads. That was impressive.
That DB, I can't remember his name, somebody did a freeze frame on him. He had both feet pointed up at the sky.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was just, oh no. I mean, Noah Whittington channeling his inner Patrick Mahomes there.
Yeah,
it was like, whoa.
Okay.
And
it was a pop. It was loud.
You could hear it on TV. Like, it was like, oh, I haven't seen, like, it feels like we don't get many of those in football anymore, where you used to get that one-on-one, like, man-on-man, like, little Oklahoma drill, live action kind of a situation. But, oof.
Tez Johnson had 2 plays that I went, oh my goodness. The touchdown where I don't know if this offensive line can block any better than they have recently. On that touchdown to Tez, Dylan Gabriel
had all day.
But he didn't even move.
No,
he just sat there and
got
bounced in the pocket
and stayed on his toes.
And he scanned the field 3 complete times. He went left to right, right to left,
and back,
left to right. And Tez told me after the game in our post-game interview, he said, in that scramble drill, when the guy's waiting that long, you run your route, everybody breaks the sideline. He goes, I knew the middle of the field was going to be wide open. And when your quarterback's not scrambling, go to the middle of the field.
Where he can see you.
And so he went to the middle of the field, and then that move he put on the safety was just, goodness gracious, nothing that guy could do. That was play number 1 where I just went, okay, Tez may be a little bit different. The other one where it should have been picked, that screen where Gabriel dumps it over the top, and Tez does a pirouette one-hand catch, and then he stays in bounds and goes up the sideline, picks up the first down on it.
And shout out to you, though.
Unreal.
You called for Justice Lowe to step up this week, and he obviously outside the touchdown, he was still impactful.
He's going to play a lot of downs for this team because of Justice Lowe is a high football IQ guy. Like, he's very smart. But we even saw him in Trayshawn Holden is not just an elite talent catching the football. He's a great blocker. Justice Lowe is just as good. They ran him short motion inside, and they inserted him, and he went in between the guard tackle and rooted out a linebacker in a run play. Like, you're doing that with a wide receiver. And so Justice Lowe, he got an inch, and he created some playing time for himself.
Well, I know that last week we talked about how important it was for Oregon to get out and have a quick start in this game to try to exert their excellence. I got out of here at, I think it was 12:35 on Saturday afternoon, and I don't think they kicked off until 12:40. It was already 14-0 when I made it home and pulled in my driveway.
Yeah.
They're
coming out.
It's like a 22-minute drive.
I think that is impressive. We had that second quarter lull against Purdue that everybody said there's a lull second quarter to third quarter. And this goes back to Oregon kind of answering all the questions week by week, right? Week by week.
What you put in front of them, they handle.
Offensive line coming out of Idaho. The first half against Boise, they tried to fix it. The second half, they made that change, and we have seen a completely different offensive line unit since the second half of that Boise game. Then it was, all right, can the defense start stringing together not just good halves, but complete games? We're starting to see that time and time again. This one was, all right, there was a quick start after an emotional win against Purdue. Can they get through that lull and not take their foot off the gas in the second quarter? They didn't. They scored on 5 of their first 6 drives. Okay,
put up away early, man.
35 points in the first half. Brett Bielema, that was the largest deficit Brett Bielema has ever had at halftime of a game. They were up 35-3, right? They're answering all those questions week in and week out. Now it is, can you take this on the road into a hostile environment? Michigan may not be the same team they were last year. There's going to be 110,000 people. It will be there's going to be ramped up and geeked out for the number one team in the country to go to Michigan. Can you take this business trip on the road and perform like you have? Think of their road environment so far. Oregon State, where there were a lot of Duck fans and they took them out of that game pretty early. UCLA, probably 60-40 UCLA to Oregon fans, maybe closer to 50-50. Purdue, where most of the fans were there to see Oregon, not Purdue play. Even the Purdue fans.
Yeah.
Not a good environment on a Friday night. Those are the 3 road games that they have had to this point. They are truly going to a hostile environment against a physical team that is woefully one-dimensional on the offensive side of the ball. But can you string the performances that you've had together in front of what will be one of those crowds? It's going to be loud. They're going to be hostile. And it is an uptick in talent from what they have seen on the road to this point. That's going to be the next challenge for Oregon. They've kind of answered every question to this point. They're deserved of the number one team in the nation, unless you're John Wilner, apparently. The only person in the AP Top 25 to not vote Oregon number one. John Wilner.
I wonder if there's any potential reason for that.
I don't know. I don't know. Young guys also stepping up too. Sione Laulea gets an interception. Damn near gets another pick. Dink Riggs comes in, the freshman running back out of DC.
Great names on this team, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Really,
comes in 5
bangers.
catches, 44 yards for Dewan Riggs.
What is it that a Bay Area dude would have against voting them? I mean, the other two in the Bay, they've gone and joined a conference completely across the other end of the country.
No, when there's Mr. Pac-12 though, you know, Mr. Pac-12. All right, that was a big game though. There one looming question about this Oregon team we'll have to get to at a later time. Let's start talking Blazers a little bit, huh? We're gonna bump this thing into the worst day on the web too. Blazers look really damn good yesterday, and they look very, very good on Friday night as well.
So that is the worst day on the web then.
Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Portland Trailblazers now 1-2 on the young season. Last time we left you, it was kind of a bitter taste in all of our mouths after getting beat by 35, then amended to 36 points.
Yeah, got to get that extra point.
Yeah. Golly. But heading into the weekend, they had a home-and-home, or a home-home, against the New Orleans Pelicans. Same team back-to-back days. Usually, historically in the NBA, it's a split. It really is.
Almost always a split.
It doesn't matter how bad a team is.
Yeah, I remember, again, I mentioned this last week. Last year, the Blazers went down to Phoenix with nobody on the roster and beat the brakes off the Suns. And then the Suns, the next game, came out and absolutely annihilated that Blazers. I think they beat them by like 40. It was bad.
Well, what we saw on Friday night was Blazers came out with a little P&V, a little vinegar in them, and it was a far more complete game than what we saw, and more competitive and competent game against the Pelicans. And they end up losing 105-103. Brandon Ingram, game winner.
He hit an incredible shot.
But that isn't that what we want to see from this team? Lead it late in a game and then not win?
Within 5 with 5 minutes to go is the goal, I think, every night. For every team in the NBA, but I think for this team especially, just kind of be there. General, like 30,000-foot view type stuff. Jeremy Grant has been phenomenal to start the season. I think they've done a really good job of getting him the ball on the second side on collapsing defenses, whether it's Anthony Simons getting downhill, whether it's Danny Avdia getting downhill. He is not having to create as much, and he's shooting the hell out of the ball.
It's not like a creator, it's a generator.
Yes.
That's kind of what he's generating looks for himself and others.
Just floating
but
into
he doesn't
spots.
have to be creative.
Yeah, and like he can put the ball. I mean, he had a couple drives last night in the third quarter against the Pels, where everybody in the press row kind of like looked around at each other like, "Yo!"
And that was the one though.
See that?
The first win of the year came yesterday, and it was convincing over the Pelicans. And again, you play the same team twice. You're going to have a really good chance of winning that second one, especially when a team shoots Blazer-esque from game one. 8 of 29, the Pelicans from 3 last night.
Yeah, that Pelicans team, they've got a lot of questions. I mean, DeJounte Murray and Herb Jones, 2 starters, are out. They're still a good team. Zion is coming back from being sick, for those if you're wondering.
No
why
bigs.
did Zion look like he's not himself? I talked to the Pels coaches and a couple people within the Oregon. They told me like they were kind of shocked that he played on Friday, to be honest. But he's still working it out. But he's also trying to figure out how the hell he can score on Donovan Clingan.
That's what I want to talk about, though. Donovan Clingan, the concern against a team like New Orleans is were DA and Clingan guys that were even going to be playable because of how, albeit small, but athletic New Orleans is.
Get up and down and finish at the rim. And Zion is an unstoppable force, but he met an immovable object. And Donovan Clingan is every bit of 7'3", 290 pounds, who he has high level defensive IQ as a rim protector and shot blocker. I had my first unhinged take of the season last night during the game. Coming into the game, he had over a 9% block rate, according to Cleaning the Glass. That filters out some of the garbage time stuff. That would put him on par with like Manute Bol, Mark Eaton, Alonzo Mourning, Victor Wembanyama, like the best shot blockers in the history of the game, on like a percentage basis. After watching him play in live action against starters and against like real players, I am convinced he is going to finish there at the end of the season. He is going to. His per 36 numbers right now are 13.5 points, 15.8 rebounds, and 6 blocks.
Okay. How much are we going to skew that, though, to it's really amazing what he's doing, but skewing it to the competition of who they've been playing, where 2 of their 3 games are teams without a legitimate big.
But here's the thing. You're talking about Zion Williamson, who may be the best finisher in the entire league.
Yeah.
And even if he's sick, he is a guy who is 275, 280 pounds, who has probably the highest level of strength in the NBA outside of Steven Adams. It's like just pure unadulterated bull in China shop. And he's also got a 40-inch vertical. And it's like, and he couldn't put a shoulder into Clingan to fold him over or elevate over him to finish. He just couldn't do it. I mean, he on Friday night, he blocked Zion twice. On Sunday night, he blocked Zion twice.
Averaging 2.5 blocks a game. Not bad.
He is like, and you could see it's not Victor Wembanyama-esque, oh hell nah,
Yeah.
when you drive, but after he comes on the floor, you do feel a change of there was one where Zion drove after he got blocked where he just decided, screw this, and he took like a 15-foot pull-up because he had just gotten absolutely stuck. Like, Zion did the Zion thing where he turns into Bo Jackson. He puts two hands over the ball like a running back and puts his shoulder into you, and then he goes to load that 2-foot jump stop and then goes to go up. And Klingon's like, that's cool, you can jump 40 inches, but my hands are already up here. Like, I'm that big.
May I ask a question?
Go.
So he was a Klingon number 7 pick?
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at basically we're 13 minutes a game so far. And arguably small sample size theater. Should we not be hoping for more like 20 minutes a game or so?
No, not right now. That's the thing. It's like you can see.
And because we're in a rebuild time and we want to see what the young guys have.
Well, what he has is about 16 minutes of gas. You can watch him. That's the thing.
That's fine.
I'm
fine with it.
And this is admittedly like I didn't watch a second of any of their first 3 games.
I feel like tonight he'll get a good test too with
Sabonis is different
with Sacramento.
And Fox is a guy who's so fast that if you read him wrong, you will foul him.
Yeah.
Which Donovan's done a really, really good job of not fouling so far. But
they're gonna try to pull him out.
He's just not going to.
Yeah,
that's the thing is like they're just gonna go ahead.
3-second technical.
He's so good at 2.9ing already. That's a real thing. Like just tap dancing in the paint. He's got that inability. But as far as like the minutes, I've heard a bunch of people like, why isn't he starting? He's better than DA. He's not better than DA. He's a better shot blocker than DA.
And that wasn't even my point. I'm not saying he should be starting and getting like a butt ton of minutes. I just thought maybe it would be a bit higher north of 13 to 14.
He can't. That's the thing. It's like it's not a matter of like DA's like so good that Donovan can't play. Donovan can't play at the NBA level for like more than 16 minutes right now. Like you have to remember, he hasn't played more than 23 minutes in his career in college, where you're playing a much, much slower game.
You're playing different dudes and different athleticisms and different size guys.
Well, and also, I think it's totally fine because of the fact that this is a developmental year, and you don't want to just throw a guy into the deep end and say, all right, you're going to play 20 minutes early. He will drown.
Yeah, Chauncey's flat out said he doesn't want to play him tired.
That's fine.
Because you're going to get him in foul trouble. You're going to get him reaching. You're going to get him falling over. The biggest thing is...
now, late in a game, if they need to lose it, maybe we see that.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, towards the end of the season, I think you will see his minutes start going up. But I asked Chauncey pregame of the first Pelicans game about Donovan, about his offense and how he kind of feels about that. I go, his physicality on the defensive end is very, very, very evident.
Yeah.
You can understand it. And I think part of his growing up, the things he needs to round out are playing in Connecticut. You're not exactly playing against the elite in high school. At UConn, he was a backup one year, and the next year, again, he's only playing 23 minutes. And he's so big and so strong that he doesn't necessarily need to have incredible timing on rebounds. He doesn't have to have incredible timing on block shots. He doesn't have to have incredible timing on offensive putbacks. Where in the NBA, you do.
Yeah.
You have to have those things, and even more so, you need to be strong. And I think once he spends a year plus in an NBA weight room with a real regiment, I'm not saying that UConn didn't work him, but there's levels to this stuff.
Yeah, they're being a professional and being still a college athlete are totally different.
It's totally different things. And I think after you get through this year, I think his year 1 to year 2 growth, if he does what I think he can do and he works the way that I think he works, you could see a guy become not necessarily Rudy Gobert, but I think he could be Gobert-esque in the sense of like, look, Gobert gets a lot of crap. But this is going to sound so weird. Have you ever seen that guy with his
personality?
Well, I mean, have you ever seen him with his shirt off?
No.
That dude is one of the most built dudes in the entire NBA. Like when you talk about guys who take care of their body, Rudy Gobert is in the very, very, very top of that, which again, he's 7'1", like 280 pounds, and you see him playing heavy minutes.
Am I crazy to think when you said year 1 to year 2, it kind of sparked this in my brain? The worst shooting night, most fouls that he's had in this short season was Scoot Henderson's best game of the 3 last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that the way he played, even though he wasn't hit. What is he, like 2 of 12?
2 of 12. I thought his floor game
12.
was pretty good. I thought his game Friday was actually really good.
Yeah.
I thought he was, and I think Chauncey Billups rewarded him on Friday.
He was good.
Lineup. Yeah.
But that I looked at last night and I was like, all right, if this is the Scoot that we get, I think
if that's bad
good.
Scoot,
because
that's okay.
But I don't think it was bad. I think it was like he was playing with a level of physicality
Mm-hmm.
that got him 4 fouls. He was trying to facilitate for others in the offense, and that if that's who he is, I'm gonna be totally okay with that.
I don't mean to say that he was unquestionably bad. I'm saying, but if that was the bad version of Scoot,
I think the bad version was the first game.
Yeah, I mean, that was really bad. It was like, he had 22, 4 and 4. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of that was in garbage time. But no, I think you're right.
Yeah.
He looks more like a rookie should look. Do you know what I mean? In the sense of like, if what you've seen so far this year through these 3 games was his rookie season, the panic would be so much less than it was last year. So I think, and this has been a trend with the G League Ignite guys. They have all sucked tremendously in their rookie years.
There's a reason why it folded.
Look, man, I've watched a little bit of the Bulls and a little bit of the Pistons, and Modest and Ron don't look good. Like, it's just, Jalen Green took 3 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a little while. But look, the Blazers play 5 games in 7 nights to start the season. They have another game tonight against the Sacramento Kings. They have the Clippers on Wednesday. I think you're not playing anybody who's great. I think the Warriors are good. But I think the Clippers are okay, and I think the Kings are okay. They're kind of an identity crisis. But if they start the season 1-4, I'm not going to be surprised as long as the games are more like they were Friday than they were last Wednesday.
Yeah, the first game was not what anybody wanted to see.
Nasty stuff.
Yeah, and look, if they go 1-4 over their first, 5 games or whatever, that's on pace for what everybody thought they were going to win anyways. Right? It's like
I went back and forth.
20 games.
I went back and forth between 7-23 and 8-22 in their first 30 games.
I'm just going to go with they're starting out at 1-2, and that is far too high of a winning percentage than I would like to.
We'll talk about this tomorrow. We'll talk about this tomorrow then.
Especially after we'll have another game under their belt.
I mean, I realize.
I mean, then
small sample size theater, but still.
If they're 1-3, they've won 25% of their games. That's 20.5 wins. Mm-hmm. Right over 82 games.
If they're 2-2, they're 500, man, and oh my god!
Now we're talking playoffs.
Yes, well, the sky is falling. I want to capture that darn flag.
Oh, right. Especially, did you see they scored 104 points against Arizona State?
Yeah.
Holy. All right, coming up next, it's time for our worst day on the web. And look, maybe not everything in the movies should be imitated. But first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, after a win over then number 20 Illinois, the Oregon Ducks remain at number 1 in the AP poll, receiving 61 of 62 first-team votes. The other vote going to number 2, Georgia. Penn State, Ohio State, Miami round out your top 5. Indiana stays at 13. Washington State enters the poll at 22, and Illinois falls down to 24. The Giants at the Steelers wraps up Week 8 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ABC and ESPN. The Steelers are 6-point favorites. ESPN reporting tests showing no significant damage to Packers quarterback Jordan Love's groin. His availability for Sunday night against the Lions up in the air, depending on how he feels throughout the week. The Chiefs have acquired pass rusher Joshua Uche from the Patriots, reportedly in exchange for a 2026 6th-round pick. Over on the Diamond, Game 3 of the World Series in the Bronx as the Yankees looking to avoid an 0-3 hole and get back into the series. Walker Buehler on the bump for the Doyers. Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. Shohei Ohtani day-to-day after injuring his shoulder trying to steal a base. 5:08 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4. And indeed, fresh off their first win of the season, the Trailblazers in Sacramento to face the Kings tonight. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2. That's 302 or 1170 on Xfinity. No Shaden Sharp or Matisse Thybulle. Robert Williams III a game-time decision. The Blazers are 12.5-point underdogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Do it every morning. Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web with Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
Oh, really? That sucks.
This one's a dark story, but it's
Oh, no way. From you?
yeah.
No way.
When I saw it, I was like, oh, that's terrible. But also, how'd you let that happen? Like, I genuinely, I feel bad for this person. Well, what was this person and their family?
Dang.
Well, when I read this, you'll understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Woman dies after backing into airplane propeller while taking pictures.
Oh, no. No.
A woman in Kansas died backing into a moving airplane propeller while taking photos, according to officials. According to Sedgwick County...
She got Indiana Jones?
She got Indiana Jones.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That is sad.
37-year-old Amanda Gallagher was taking photos of the Air Capital drop zone of people getting on and off airplanes when she backed into an active airplane propeller.
Oh, my
Questions.
goodness.
Is there nobody around that can be like, hey, be careful?
Like, I don't want to
Hey,
be
you're
like,
getting
what is
super
this?
close.
Well, I don't want to be like, hey, was this person deaf? And then it turns out, like, yeah, she was deaf. So, like, I don't know.
Wait, was she?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I don't want to, like, have that be the thing. But
Well, I feel like you would feel it, too.
right? Like, then your senses are heightened, right? Like, couldn't you feel the giant gust of air behind you and the vibration in the freaking air? Like, I don't, like, this is why anytime it happens, like, in Indiana Jones, when he's fighting the big giant Nazi who takes his shirt off for some reason, the German bomber spins around and, you know, it's on the block and it comes around and it gets chopped up in propeller blades. I'm like, that's a cool little movie thing, but that never happened in real life. And then you hear something like this and you go, oh, okay, people are just dumb. And this is like
that's a real.
So she's a photographer. And so she went in there to take pictures of a skydiving group. And as the group that she was photographing was unloading and the next group was loading, she just started backing up and went right into the airplane propeller. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
That is.
I'm sure that's not a fun way to go.
Oh,
because she didn't. She didn't.
Well, it's probably not. Let's
She-
face it.
she
It's
didn't die.
probably pretty quick.
No, she didn't die immediately. She
No.
was taken to the hospital where she died from her injuries later.
Oh my gosh. And so she worked for the company, the skydiving company, so she knew what the rules were. She knew the danger. It wasn't just like this was her first time doing it. Oh my gosh. Huh.
It's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I normally just kind of Vancouver Ford text line. This is dark. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I am always interested in Darwin Awards. Like,
Ooh, the Darwin Awards are the dumbest way people die.
and it's like this seems like this. I mean, this isn't a 10. It's at least a 6.
I think it's up there.
6, 7.
Well,
on a scale of 1 to 10, like
makes
this
it-
is pretty dumb.
I think it makes it worse that
she's-
she worked there.
That's what I mean. This isn't like a first time, but like, look, man, I have been around a lot of running aircraft in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I have photos of me next to numerous AC-130 gunships when I was deployed with them. They have propellers the size of me. If that thing's on, I am not going anywhere near that thing.
No.
Are you kidding me?
No. Oh my god.
Just the idea of like thinking about like a cartoon, you know, like the big propellers like generate the draft and like pull people up off the ground kind of a deal. I'm like, oh God, no, I don't. Nope. You wouldn't catch me within 100 feet of a running propeller like that.
No.
No freaking way. Outside of an aircraft? No freaking way. And especially like these little tiny, which usually these skydiving planes, they're little 12-man planes, which means they move quick. Like when they're on the tarmac, that's kind of like having like a little like dirt bike. When you see like a giant
whipping
plane,
around.
yeah, when you see like a big plane, you see like a 757. That thing's like a freaking boat, and it's going to take a long time for that old thing to swing around. Those little prop planes, they flip around like on a dime. So it's like you've got to be aware. It's just it's a terrible, terrible story. But yeah, this is. I mean, what the hell, man? Also, and then to not go immediately.
Yeah, like she suffered. That's not
sucks,
good.
Man.
That's not
brutal.
good at all.
So.
Wow, thanks for brightening up our day, Danny.
Well, it was either
Holy
that or I was going to go with
smokes.
the Dwayne Wade statue. We could find a way to work that in somehow.
That Dwayne Wade statue is
Lawrence Fishburne statue?
It took me a while to figure out. I was like, who? And then, like, literally 45 minutes an hour, I was like, oh my God, that's who that's supposed to be.
one of
It's horrendous.
It's one of the worst.
It's terrible.
I mean, it's not like Cristiano Ronaldo bad, where his
No.
airport statue, but like this is up
Does it
there.
make you appreciate, like, the sculptors of the Renaissance era to a level like unto like herefore never before seen? Because
Well, I don't know, because we don't know what Michelangelo, what his what are they called?
what he actually looked like?
No, what the the
Statue of David.
I know the Statue of David. No,
Okay.
what his models actually look like, right? What if like David was like, dude, I look nothing like that.
My junk is so much bigger.
Like, what are you talking about? So they broke it off, and he's like, how about now?
As he holds up his pinky.
Yeah. What if David, his face was like actually all mangled, and Michelangelo's like, yeah, sorry, dude, I couldn't replicate that. You know?
I don't know.
My bad.
I would say looking at those statues, those people all look more like actual people.
Yeah, they do. Well, the attention to detail in all those statues is incredible. Like
Yes.
they're wearing like, like
Flowing
it looks
robes.
like a blanket, a silk blanket. Is
So
laying
let's
over
focus
them. Like,
on the.
yeah.
So how about we get the attention to detail more on the face and making it look like the actual person instead of worrying about the jersey and the flow?
Yeah, I think we should do that.
Yeah.
I think we should do that. We should
It's-
get back to that.
Yeah.
Did you hear?
It's like the art. It's like the art,
Okay,
but the art, but make it sports thing.
How much?
Even those side by sides, they look more alike than what that statue looks like. Dwayne Wade.
But how much of it is you think like in the Renaissance era though? It was like no rush to make these statues. They could take years to make, and now we're like 6 months. Give me Dwayne Wade in 6 months.
Yeah,
Just
but I mean-
computer. Yeah, give me the computer. It's
Yeah.
computers.
Yeah.
We can computer these things and then make it a little bit more lifelike.
Did you see
huh?
Wade's speech?
No.
There's a clip where he's like, "Who's that guy, huh?" And it's like,
Yeah, we're not sure.
that's the thing is like he was doing it like, "Oh my God, like I can't believe this is
It's
actually happening."
computers.
But in reality, everybody took that as like, even Dwayne Wade's questioning who the hell that guy is. Because again, it looks like Lawrence Fishburne. It does not look like Dwayne Wade.
I feel even Lawrence Fishburne would be like,
Is it? Yeah. All right. That's our worst day on the web. Web's worst days on the web. One slightly worse than the other, one might argue.
Yeah, the lady going through an airplane propeller, kind of worse than Dwayne Wade.
Is it, though?
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
The statue's pretty bad.
Yeah, well, yeah. Ask her family.
Wow. All right. Coming up next, we had maybe the best World Series game in the history of the sport. And that baseball game, I don't know about you guys, it goes back an awful long time. We'll get into that and more here next on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. One of the most insane baseball moments I've seen in my adult life transpired Friday night down in Chavez Ravine. Freddie Freeman in extra innings did the unthinkable, the first ever World Series walk-off grand slam.
Dude, that was awesome.
An absolute no-doubter. He was just sitting breaking ball, and he blasted it.
A guy that it's been hard to come by. You know, he still has it in him. Goes up to the plate, just rips that one. That picture of him holding the bat over his head, just knowing it was gone. Epic bat flip. The way that game one ended, I was just like, whoa.
That game had everything. It was, you get to extras and you're just on pins and needles the whole time.
Yep.
And to walk an MVP in Mookie Betts, to face an MVP in Freddie Freeman.
But that's the thing is that, like, I don't blame the Yankees for doing that.
No, I don't either. It's just so that's how insane these two lineups are.
And was it first pitch?
No.
Wasn't?
No.
Okay.
It was fourth pitch on that one, yeah. No, and the thing is if they grooved Freeman a few pitches earlier in the game, and it looked like he was swinging from his heels, and I was like, oh, if they do that one more time, and they did, and he sat on it and just wrapped that bat around that bad boy.
And look, this is what it comes down to when you're in the World Series, right? Your stars will shine, and you are seeing Shohei Ohtani is going to play tonight with that shoulder injury. Not great. But did you see the number coming out of the viewership of that?
No.
The game 2, not game 1. There were 15.9 million viewers. Nope. In Japan.
Holy crap.
12% of the entire population of Japan watched Game 2 of the World Series. 13.8 million in America. So
goodness gracious, that's the Shohei effect.
Well, and Yamamoto, because Yamamoto starting
Yeah.
as the pitcher in Game 2 for the Dodgers.
Have you seen the slow-mo on his yo-yo curveball?
Think of that, though. That is nearly 30 million people watching, just from two countries watching the World Series. Holy smokes.
If you're ever wondering how those baseball salaries get paid.
That's it right there. But in the World Series, now you look at it, like there was an advantage of, like, you knew there were bats across both these lineups, right? And it comes down to, all right, what pitching staff do you think is going to hold up the longest? Heading into it, it's like Yankees just due to sheer health.
The
Dodgers
beat up.
Pitching rotation has been absolutely just ravaged over the course of this year. Well, Walker Buehler's going to go tonight. I think Clark Schmidt is going to go for the Yankees. I don't care who you roll out there. Aaron Judge cannot go 1 for 9 with 6 strikeouts.
Lord. He is Clayton Kershawing his way through a World Series.
He is really good in the wild card round, but after that, he is not good.
Well, I think even into the DSs even, but yeah, once he gets to the championship series and World Series, not good.
If you go over his, like, if you go through the last 3 games, his last 6 games, right? Or 5 games, you go through the last 3 games of the Cleveland series, he is 3 for 22 at the plate.
Is that good, Bob?
2 RBI. Oof. 2 runs scored.
For the best player in baseball, that's not a great sign.
No, 13 strikeouts.
That's 2 RBI and 3 hits.
The conversion rate's pretty good on the hits.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead. He is, the struggle bus does not even begin to say where we have seen Aaron Judge lately, and he needs to step up if the Yankees are going to have a chance in this, because there's only so much that, I don't know, Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton and Verdugo can do. I mean, I don't know. It comes down to how your stars play, and right now Dodgers are winning that, and they're winning the series 2-0.
Now, as a non-total baseballman,
yeah,
I do remember this in my awe from last Friday.
They're gonna go Gleyber Torres, Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Stanton.
Well, I was gonna say 5 former MVPs in this series. So it's not like the Yankees are like shorthanded or anything.
No, it's not. It's you know,
or bereft of talent.
And again, that was the thing that I pitched to Dusty was, you know, which three would you rather face? Torres, Soto, Judge, or Ohtani, Betts, Freeman? And I landed. I would rather face the Yankee three, but I still don't want to.
I'd opt out.
Yeah,
but
I
I'd
would
go.
like to not.
No thanks, teacher. I'll take the 0.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, boy.
I bet Nestor would like that right now.
Poor Nestor Cortez.
Did you see the still frame of his face?
No.
The look you have on your face right now is the same look that he had. As soon as he hits the ball, goes, "Oh,
yeah." I didn't see the still frame, but I saw him like walking off the field after, and yeah, he.
It's an immediate head turn and biting his lip. Like,
yeah,
dude. In both these pitchers, we're going to see the bullpen early tonight in Game 3. Both these teams have got to have their bullpen show up because, look, if anybody's going to get right against the bullpen, it's going to be Aaron Judge in this Yankees lineup. So I hope we see 7 games. I love that. I have picked my side, though, and it is the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers, not just because they're up 2-0, but
when you can't root for the evil empire.
I see both these teams as evil. But the bat raise, Freddie Freeman, that won me over. I was like,
"Oh yeah,
I'm in.
It was a Kirk
everything about
Gibson-esque
him,
moment.
I'm in." So
that was a fantastic moment for me, even on Friday night, because I didn't catch all of the game, but I caught like every scoring play. Somehow, the cards fell correctly for me, and I saw that swing and just went. Whoop.
And by the way, how
is.
great is it that the World Series started on Friday, and it's Monday, and we're at Game 3?
Great, love it.
Thank you, baseball.
Go Dodgers.
Thank you, baseball. Thank you for doing that for us.
And also, I never thought I'd say this, but also go Dodgers.
Yeah, right. Feels a little dirty.
Yeah,
it does feel dirty. Does that one hurt you?
Not that much. I mean,
I might have to go
it's
home.
It's not that bad. It would feel weirder saying "Go Yankees."
Right.
That would feel much weirder. For
I
me.
still feel like I need to go home and bathe again.
Yeah. Well, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
Okay, Astros fan.
Can you go take a shower?
Thank God you're in that other room.
Man.
Hey,
what did I do to ask for that?
Nothing.
Stinky boy. Speaking of stinky boys, the Cleveland Browns got rid of their stinky quarterback, and now they look like a team that doesn't suck and blow at the same time. We'll dive headfirst into all of the NFL's news and notes from the weekend coming up next year in hour number 3 on Danny and Dusty, 10 in the Fan.
The Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, after a win over then number 20 Illinois, your Oregon Ducks remain at number 1 in the AP poll, receiving 61 of 62 first-team votes. The other going to number 2 Georgia. Penn State, Ohio State, Miami round out your top 5. Indiana stays at 13. Washington State enters the poll at 22. Illinois falls to number 24. The Giants at the Steelers wraps up Week 8 in the NFL. 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Steelers are 6-point favorites. ESPN reporting tests showed no significant damage to Packers quarterback Jordan Love's groin. His availability for Sunday against the Lions up in the air, depending on how he feels throughout the week. Over on the diamond, Game 3 of the World Series from the Bronx as the Yankees look to avoid an 0-3 hole and get back into the series. Your law firm matchup features Walker Buehler for the Dodgers, Clark Schmidt for the Yankees. Shohei Ohtani in the lineup as designated hitter after injuring his shoulder trying to steal a base in Game 2. 5:08 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And fresh off their first win of the season, the Trailblazers in Sacramento facing the Kings tonight. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2. That's 302 or 1170 on Xfinity. They're now in HD. No Shaden Sharp or Matisse Thybulle. Bob Williams III, a game-time decision. The Blazers are 12.5-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The home of prime time with Isaac and Sue. Weekdays 3 to 7, 1080 The Fan. Danny Meringue.
I found 2 empty bottles of a particularly decent Chateau Noir Bordeaux 57 in your rubbish.
Dusty Hera.
You went through my garbage?
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app.
I find it particularly offensive that you use them to wash down an order from something called Macho Taco.
And Portland's sports leader, 1080.
I would never drink a Bordeaux with a Macho Taco.
The Fan.
It was a burrito machisimo.
Hour number 3 here on a Monday afternoon.
Let's go.
Whether you listen on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am the fan or twitch.tv/1080am the fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful Monday. It sucks outside, which is why you want to maybe button up and listen to that sweet, sweet radio.
Yeah, let's do it. 'Cause I think the rain is going to be like intermittent off and on, so whatever.
Until June.
Yeah. So we got some time.
I was going to be conservative and say maybe May, but yeah.
There you go. I can tell you what, the Baltimore Ravens may suck on defense.
I don't think that we can say may anymore.
Yeah,
they're not good defensively. This is kind of what we've all been saying, that they need to shore that up.
Mm-hmm.
But once they do, or if they do, they could be a Super Bowl contending team because their offense is good enough to do it.
But until then, the Cleveland Browns have unstuck their quarterback situation with Jameis Winston taking over for the injured Deshaun Watson. And if you want a vibe switch and you want to talk about locked-in crab legs, Jameis Winston eating the W, ladies and gentlemen, I give you pregame Jameis Winston.
Jameis, I can tell you're taking it all in right now. You're about to make your first start since 2022. Ken Dorsey said that he's been preaching to you to play smart but not conservative. What do you expect from yourself?
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will be glad and rejoice in it.
You're looking really focused right now. You told us this week that everyone inside this building believes that this is the time you guys can turn it around. What's been the message?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, depending on the Lord. That's all we got.
You told me no nerves, just excitement and butterflies. Still feel that way?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, dependence on the Lord.
I love Jameis.
The look on his face while he's doing this looks like he's cutting a WWE promo.
He's so great.
And shout out the reporter for just we're
gonna keep going through this.
We're gonna keep going, man.
He said the same thing though to his team though, and he said, we play for the names on the back of our jerseys. We play for the decal on the side of our. Well, we don't have a decal on the side of our helmet, but we play for our team. And he gave the whole unwavering faith and belief in what you do. He is something, man.
He's entertaining as hell.
He is.
When he's done, he's gonna end up on TV. You know he is.
Oh man.
You know he is.
See,
tell me I'm wrong.
you're not wrong, but it would be awful.
I've been a roller coaster of emotions with Jameis going back to Florida State and certain allegations, and that's not even talking about the crab legs. Then he comes in and all of a sudden he's super fun and he's the fun backup guy. And then he comes in and is like, oh, everybody, you quit crying about when Deshaun gets hurt. And he did. And then, anywho.
But yeah, I mean, then he goes out and he balls out.
He did. He played well, man. And I think he played well enough, obviously, to win the game. But with Jameis Winston, there's always, you're going to white knuckle it.
There's always going to be a roller coaster.
When he whipped the ball all around the field, he's got a howitzer attached to his shoulder. But this is, we talk about this all the time. Andy Dalton gets a starting job in Carolina. They got an Andy Dalton bump. They went they went to Vegas and they won, right? There is always a bump when you get a team that is talented. Their quarterback has been underperforming. Quarterback goes out, right? Or a guy gets benched. You get a bump. There's a shot in the arm.
Yep.
Jameis ended up playing clean in that game. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, like 334 yards. Like, let's
really
go.
Can't ask for much more than that.
No, you can't. But bad Jameis will come around at some point.
The thing about if you're a Browns fan or if you're in the Browns front office, how you got to this point without pulling Watson, regardless of his contract. Deshaun Watson was so bad. Again, I've brought this point up multiple times. The only quarterback in Browns franchise history since they have returned to Cleveland that was worse than Deshaun Watson had been through, 6 games, was rookie year Tim Couch. That's it.
You cannot convince me, no matter what they say, that this was not an edict from ownership and the front office that you will play Deshaun Watson.
Because
we are not going to pay
all
him all the guaranteed money to sit on the bench.
No.
That you cannot convince me otherwise. He was not worthy of being out on the field as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
There was never a redemptive moment of yes, he's a scumbag. Yes, he's not the same guy that he used to be, and all those other things of him showing flashes of being Houston Texans Deshaun Watson. Because in this disgusting, dark, dreary world of sports, there is a sliding scale of what is acceptable to participate in sports if you are good enough. He didn't even scratch the surface that would allow you to take the bath in that stew of crap.
Yeah. And this is where 1 week it worked for Jameis and it worked for the Cleveland Browns. I'll be really interested to see if they can start stringing these performances together because they were better than a 1-6 team.
God, yes.
How good can they be with Jameis Winston? I just don't know. The division is still going to be really good. I don't think that this is an indictment on Baltimore. A lot of people are like, oh, see, now Baltimore went from best in the world to worst team in the foot. No, they're not.
Indictment, no. But I do think that there is a very, very, very real issue with that defense.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the second half was the issue in that one. I mean, they only gave up 6 points in the first half. And I do think that Mike McDonald leaving, big factor. Patrick Queen leaving, big factor in how they are playing this year. But if they can piece this thing together and duct tape it long enough, 24 points in the NFL, it gave you a chance to win the game. And your defense let it go by giving up 29. And that second half where you give up 14 in the third, they come out and you just let Jameis carve you up. That's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow if you're Baltimore. But for Cleveland, man, now there's so many teams that are 2-6 right now.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of these teams that were in the cellar won this weekend. You get the Patriots winning.
Yeah.
You had the Browns go out. They get a win. How many 2-win teams are there? It's crazy. Is there 5 or 6 2-win teams?
So just in the AFC alone, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
So 6 with the Saints, 1 in the NFC. So there's 5 in the AFC. That's why I feel like it feels that way. There's a bunch in one conference. Here's the thing about the defense with the Ravens. Let's put this in real perspective, okay? The Raiders have given up 210 points, the second most in the AFC. The Ravens have given up 209.
Yeah.
They're a bad defense.
They're a bad defense.
They're
not good.
I can't even begin to figure out how they figure this out. Like I don't know what the path that you go down to fix this, because like looking at the personnel, every time I look at the box score, I go, that's a dude, that's a dude, that's a dude, that's a dude. And they have them on all three levels. They have a decent pass rushers. They've got one of the best linebackers in the game, and arguably the second best, two-way all-world linebacker in Roquan Smith. They've got a massive playmaker in Kyle Hamilton. Like, you just look at them and you're like, look, is this the best defense in the world? No, but is it a Raiders-esque defense? Is it a Jacksonville Jaguars level defense?
No, but
No.
I mean, at the same time, they've also got double-digit wins over the Buccaneers. They got double-digit win over what they held the Bills to 10 points, right? Earlier in the year.
Was that the
They
game?
won like 35-10.
That was the game that Josh Allen was broken, right? He was like 9 of 27.
Yeah, but you know what? They won the game.
Yeah, no, you're
like,
right. 100%.
And so we've seen like
And they've
flashes
still
where you're
given
going,
up that many points this year.
okay, yeah, because they've also given up, 38 to Cincinnati, right? 31 in that double-digit win over Tampa, right, where everybody got broken for the Buccaneers. I'm not selling my stock completely on Baltimore, but
No, because they also lead the NFL in points scored.
Nelly.
Because their offense is high-powered.
Yeah, but they're going to have to score a hell of a lot more points. Jameis Winston was even better in the postgame.
Yeah, I would say, you want to?
It was way better.
Give me this sweet Jameis.
Jameis Winston making your first start since 2022. The word you used before the game was unwavering. How do you describe this victory?
Unwavering faith, ultimate belief, depending on the Lord, and depending on the Lord should have been first. He gets all the glory. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this win.
Talk to me about your team and the way they showed up today, coming off 5 consecutive losses. No one would have blamed you guys if you gave up. How did your guys show up this week in practice to get it done today against the Baltimore Ravens?
One play at a time. We fought. We gave everything that we could possibly give. Thank you for the offensive line. Thank you for the defensive line of winning the trenches. And thank you for the Browns fans for coming up and standing up and helping us get a victory here at home.
It's not often that you get another opportunity like you have just received in the NFL. What does it mean to lead these guys, and what could be the start of what you said is something special moving forward?
Man, it's a white boy from Detroit that I really admire named Eminem. He said, you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity lasts once in a lifetime. And I know I got to quote, Eminem, he from Detroit, he right up the road, but man, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that the Lord provided me with this opportunity. I'm grateful for my teammates, my coaches, and these amazing fans.
Oh, there's a white boy from Detroit.
He goes from the Bible to Eminem in an instant. That is the funny part about Jameis Winston. You have no idea where he's going to go. No idea at all. He goes from quoting Jesus to quoting Eminem.
Just likes him some white boys, right?
This white boy named Eminem from up in Detroit. Like, oh, we don't know who that. Oh, thank you. I now know who this white guy Eminem is after Googling him.
Thank you, Jameis Winston.
So good. And good for the Browns. Look, now that Deshaun Watson is no longer part of their team, kind of pull for him a little bit. Is that okay?
No,
that
no,
right?
it's not.
No?
They are still a horrific organization.
Yeah, I
still
don't
owned-
like the ownership.
Still, let's just say, still owned by Jimmy Haslam.
Still a horrific organization.
All right, fine.
All right, when we come back, we have some more NFL talk, including don't take cheap shots on quarterbacks in the NFL because the wrath of an offensive lineman knows no bounds. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Los Angeles Chargers handle the New Orleans Saints, who, real quick, if you can identify someone active on the Saints offensive roster, good for you.
Juwan Jennings.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's tough out there for them. They're pretty beat up. They're pretty mangled. And after starting the season 2-0 and putting up points in bunches, the damage and decimation to their team has led to them being very bad.
Not great, Bob. Not great.
They fall 26-8 to the Chargers, but the story coming out of that game,
They were the most potent offense in football the first 2 weeks.
But-
And like in NFL history.
yes, just stunning.
And they can't even move the ball anymore.
No.
It's wild.
I would call that the Dennis Allen effect, but they also did have those first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara both played yesterday too,
They
right?
did play, but they didn't.
Didn't Olave have 100 yards?
Did he end up with 100?
Yeah, I think
I
he
guess
did.
he had 107. Yeah, it was just nobody else was really. I mean, they ran a quarterback combination of Spencer Rattler, who completed 50% of his passes, and Jake Haener, who was one pass short of completing just at 50% of his passes. So, I mean, it's tough out there. But the story coming out of that game was, one, the Chargers the Chargers actually scored points, which is the first time in a while that they have managed to do that. But you had a play where Nathan Shepard, pass rusher for the New Orleans Saints, decided to ankle pick Justin Herbert long after the ball is gone.
That's not an ankle pick. That's an ankle twist. Ankle pick is where you just swipe at his
No.
ankle.
I'm talking,
I'm
I'm not talking about the ankle pick tackle. I'm talking about an actual ankle pick that you pull in an MMA octagon, which is a hole that's not legal anymore because of the damage you can do.
It is
a
ridiculous.
dirty thing to do.
It is very dirty.
And Bradley Bozeman reacted in a way that was befitting a manner of what transpired. And to be honest, I'm kind of, if I'm Jim Harbaugh and I'm looking at Bradley Bozeman, number one, great job coming back to battle for your quarterback, but also maybe kick Shepard's ass a little bit more.
Well, he did get a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty,
Which he should not.
And he did get a game ball from
Yes.
Jim Harbaugh. He was awarded a game ball in the locker room and after the game, but he just went over as Shepard was like ranking on the ankle. He knocked him off of Herbert and he gave him the business.
It looks like, from the camera angle from behind, it looks like he puts both hands on his throat. He doesn't, but it looks like the way he's positioning over the top of him and where because he grabs him basically by the collar, but it looks like he's choking him out. And I was kind of like, when I first saw it happen, I'm like, did he just choke him out?
Well,
of which I was like, I didn't even think that's a bad thing. I was like, good for you, dude.
The fact that Herbert has been dealing with a high ankle sprain since week 2, he knew what he was doing. He was going after his ankle, trying to injure Justin Herbert, and Bozeman's like, no.
Oh,
not
wait,
today.
the Saints being involved in a dirty hit on a quarterback?
Wonder if there's a bounty out for him.
Do you want to hear from Bradley Bozeman? Let's do it.
Yeah, it was probably one of the dirtier plays I've ever seen, especially with my own eyes. To think the ball's gone 2-3 seconds and he's still getting rolling. He's on the ground. He's still getting rolling. And just protect your quarterback. You protect your quarterback no matter what. I think any of the offensive linemen that was in that position would have done the exact same thing. So, had to get him off of him, and we did.
There's 2 ways to really upset an offensive lineman. Cheap shot your quarterback and take their food. Those are the 2 ways that you upset an offensive lineman.
Okay, so
he hit one of them.
Going for this first one, after he got there for a second and held him down and then like really exerted some force, Justin Herbert face planted hard into the turf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ugly.
Yeah.
It was
a dirty
everything
play.
about it was the dirtiest thing you can do.
Yeah. And especially, a guy's injured and that's the move you're going to do.
Yeah. And so I applaud Bozeman
absolutely.
I applaud Bozeman for doing what he did. And so did so many other offensive linemen.
This is what is going to happen is he's going to get fined and it'll be a substantial fine for what he did.
And Herbert's going to pay it.
The entire team pools their money together. They pay the fine for him.
Yeah.
Usually how it goes. Justin Herbert may just pay for it by himself.
Because Justin Herbert's got that kind of money.
Yeah.
Might get him a car too.
Maybe.
Hey, look, man, you cheap shot a guy, especially like you go to guys' knees, you go to guys' ankles, and like you look, you twist on a guy, you tweak on a guy, at the bottom of the pile kind of thing. When a running back's dealing with a bum thumb, like you do that. Like it's on the edge, but it's understood. Like they're gonna test you.
You don't do it like that.
You don't go for the knees or the ankles because that's the money makers. You
Yep.
can't. You don't do that stuff. And I'm being totally honest. If Bozeman had hauled off and beat his ass on the field, I wouldn't have batted an eye because it was that level of dirty. And it's like that's the franchise right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing, and there's a reason Jim Harbaugh gave him the ball because that's the franchise right there.
Protect him.
And you don't let anybody do that stuff.
I mean, Shepard is probably really upset though that Ladd McConkey all of a sudden started going off. Like at the very beginning of the year, I said Ladd McConkey is the only receiver that they have.
Mm-hmm.
He is. He went
dancing on dudes.
Nuts. And that's exactly how they're going to have to use him. Greg Roman's offense may be archaic. It may not be very good, but if that is the way they use Ladd McConkey, they are going to start winning more games. They could become a playoff team. But as of right now, their offense is so anemic.
Mm-hmm.
They need to figure out a heck of a lot more because teams will adjust, try to take Ladd McConkey away. The Los Angeles Chargers are better than what their 4-3 record indicates because they're more talented. That even without receivers on the outside, they should be better than 4-3 at this point. And now we're starting to see maybe there's an opportunity for them to peel off a couple of wins. They go to Cleveland next. We'll see how long the Jameis bump lasts.
Mm-hmm.
Then they have the Titans and the Bengals.
Oof.
The Bengals are done now.
They're toast.
They're done.
Toast.
Losing to the Eagles the way that they did,
got run out of the
forking them.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, Eagles still hanging around.
You want to go there next?
I mean, we can. Sure.
We have plenty of games still at their hit, but I think that there was a revival for the Eagles because if the Eagles had dropped that game, we might have been singing a different tune about them. And then another bird, the Seahawks, got absolutely dump trucked by the Bills. We'll get to that and more. But first, it's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
I hear they got some tasty burgers.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust here with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan after a win over then number 20 Illinois. The Oregon Ducks remain at number 1 in the AP polls, receiving 61 of 62 first-team votes. The other going to number 2 Georgia. Penn State, Ohio State, Miami round out the top 5. Indiana stays at 13. Washington State entering the poll at 22. And Illinois falls to number 24. In the National Football League, Giants at the Steelers wraps up Week 8, 5:15 kick on ESPN and ABC. The Steelers are 6-point favorites. The Chiefs have acquired pass rusher Joshua Uche from the Patriots, reportedly in exchange for a 2026 sixth-round pick. On the diamond, Game 3 of the World Series in the Bronx as the Yankees look to avoid an 0-3 hole and get back into the series. In your law firm game of the week, Walker Buehler opposite Clark Schmidt. Shohei Ohtani in the lineup as a designated hitter after injuring his shoulder trying to steal a base in Game 2. 5:08 first pitch on Fox. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 4 o'clock. And fresh off their first win of the season, the Trailblazers in Sacramento this evening to face the Kings. 7 o'clock tip on K2 Channel 2.2. That's 302 or 1170 on Xfinity. No Shaden Sharp or Matisse Thybulle. Robert Williams III, a game-time decision. Blazers are 12.5-point dogs. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tell your children not to walk my way. Tell your children
The Philadelphia Eagles, despite being a team that I think looked like it was in some sort of shambles. Well, they put a fork in the Cincinnati Bengals, 37-17. However you want it, however you needed it, the Philadelphia Eagles gave it to the Cincinnati Bengals. Jalen Hurts, 16 of 20, 1 passing touchdown, 3 rushing touchdowns. The little man who can squat a Volkswagen squatted Volkswagens into the end zone over and over and over again.
Bengals have got some serious issues on both sides of the football because, like, the Joe Burrow needing to play perfect football
for them to have a chance
to win games, and like he literally has to be perfect. And now you're seeing they've got more injuries to their receiving core. You got T. Higgins, who now has a quad injury, and he's going to be evaluated somewhere down the road. It turns into, all right, if we can limit and keep everything in front of Jamar Chase, then we are going to be just fine in this game. There was never a threat that Cincinnati was going to win the game. Even after the first quarter when it was 7-0, it was 10-10 at half, all of a sudden the dam broke, and Jalen Hurts and that rushing attack for Philly is a menace, dude. Saquon Barkley he found the fountain of youth in Philly. Well, actually, no. He found a competent offensive line.
There you go.
And
not having to fight through yak yards in the backfield over and over and over again.
They're just controlling the tempo, controlling the pace of the game. And when you are Cincy and you cannot play, look, what Philly did is exactly what Pittsburgh's going to try and do, what Baltimore's going to do to you. That is the most terrifying part if you're Cincinnati. This is why that game, it's not just that you're 3-5 and you have like this mountain to climb wins-wise. Look at the teams that you are going to play and tell me they're not going to try and do the same damn thing to you over and over and over again, right? They still got 2 against Pittsburgh. They still got 1 more against Baltimore. Even the fatal flaw is that teams can run the ball on them. And that limits possessions for Joe Burrow. And if Joe Burrow's got to be perfect and he's got to score 30, teams are just going to say, we dare you to get enough possessions to where you're going to score 30 points. They couldn't. They couldn't last yesterday against the Eagles, and they're not going to in any games of consequence. They got some serious issues and demons they need to exercise in Philly right now because, boy, that was ugly. That was ugly. Or Cincinnati.
Yeah.
What did I say?
You said in Philly.
Philly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they did in Philly.
Yeah, in Philly.
They're good now.
The interesting thing about Philly is the Jalen Hurts passing tree stuff that you saw come out of this game, where early in the season, if you looked at the charts, he wasn't pushing the ball downfield at all. Have you seen his targets from this past week? It's 2 total passes behind the line of scrimmage.
But that is where they're going to be at their best, though, is play action now that you have Saquon Barkley.
Rolling.
And you can push it a little bit more vertically.
I mean, he's, again, 16 of 20. It was like, what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's amazing what A.J. Brown does to your offense.
He was 8 of 8 on passes over 10 yards.
And
10 air yards.
A.J. Brown is earning his contract right now.
Super
it's
useful.
a good spot to be in. And it's a terrible spot. Like, right now, Cincinnati, they're seeing some demons. You mentioned this earlier, though. Seattle, man. It's been a really long time since we've seen a clunker like that from the Seahawks to where the fans of Lumen Field are actually booing them off the field.
Mm-hmm.
They deserved it on that game yesterday. 31-10. The Bills just going dog walk them. And Josh Allen looks great. Seattle, they got inside the 2-yard line twice and came out with 3 points.
That's tough. Look, it's one thing to do that in college and be a team that's in the red zone all the time, and you get there with such volume that you're like, we'll just overwhelm with attempts. In the NFL, if you don't convert in the red zone, you're dead.
And Geno with the fumble and the ball kind of bounces around, and you go from the 2-yard line what were they on, like the 26 or something like that? Like, holy guacamole, what is going on here? And then you get stuffed on the goal line, and I don't mind them going for it. You needed points, man. Like, you should be able to impose your will that close to the end zone. Inside the two different drives, and they only come away with 3 points out of it. in the NFL, that is crippling. That game was ugly for Seattle.
Well,
man.
and how many times did they go on consecutive 3, 4, 5 plays where they got called for a penalty?
11 penalties?
It's not just they shot themselves in the foot. It's that they shot themselves in the foot so many times that they picked a certain toe each time and did it like at least 10 times.
To be fair,
the
Bills had 13 penalties, and they still whooped them that bad.
Kicked the crap out of them still.
Which is why when you go 8 of 15 on third downs where the Seahawks
maybe
go
that's
1 of
why
7,
Gino cried.
And they doubled them up damn near in yards. Like, you want to talk like the Oregon-Illinois game.
32 yards rushing for Seattle.
I mean, they just got absolutely mauled. And I picked the Bills to win that game, but I didn't think it was going to be this. And now, here's the thing, though, for the Seahawks. As unfortunate as that loss is, where is the rest of that division right now?
Within striking distance.
Everyone is there. Everyone is there. You go look at that division, and you have 3 4-4 teams, and the Rams are 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
Because
coming off a massive win on Thursday.
Because they're the only one who've had their bye.
Yep. A massive win on Thursday, too.
And if you're wondering just kind of where the Seahawks stack up, their point differential in the season is a -5, which that basically tells you they're a 500 team.
-5 after getting beat 31-10.
Yeah. So that basically tells you they're like roughly a 500 team. But as far as like points expectations.
Well, they are a 500 team.
Again, the math kind of shows where they're at, because if you look at a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're also 4-4. They're a +22. So it tells you the kind of ebbs and flows of games.
Their season will be night-night. Mike Evans done.
Yeah. Chris
Godwin got done. They're
cooked.
They're done.
And that's the thing is the Seahawks don't really have that. And I want to say, if you want to say the silver lining for the Seahawks, did you see how active Ernest Jones was?
Yeah. That's good to see.
Lord.
But again, when you're getting just beat to smithereens, how much that do for you?
But I mean, trading for a guy and having him play for you the next week and be that impactful, nice little trade.
Yeah.
Nice little trade.
Look, NFC West is going to be an interesting one to follow. The NFC South is also, because it is dead as I think the Buccaneers are. It's not like the Falcons were overly impressive against them.
No.
They weren't.
No.
I mean, it was one of those, ooh, all right. That you got to win, but Baker still threw for 3 bills. I mean, he's not throwing to anybody anymore.
No.
His 2 best receivers are like dead. He threw it to Cade Otton, the Husky, former Husky tight end. Bucky Irving out of the backfield was his 3rd leading receiver. It's good to see that Bucky Irving, Rashad White duo in the backfield.
It's a nice little backfield.
It's a fun little backfield that they got in Tampa.
They're both, multi-value, whether they're running between tackles, running on the edge, coming out of the backfield, out in motion, and being put in the slot. Like they can just kind of do it all.
Dude, Bucky was, I think he was so undervalued in by Oregon's fans in their offense and what he did, because he's like one of the best backs to come through there in quite some time. Like Oregon has got a long history of really good backs. Bucky was different, man.
Remember last year I asked you, is Bucky Irving the most important player for this offense?
Yeah, and there were times where he was. I mean, it was Bo, but
you had to hit
Bo
him.
Nix had a hell of a game too.
Yep.
4 tutties and playing really damn well. They're going to find out soon though, because Denver's offense or schedule, it turns into a gauntlet.
Bucky, last year, you had to hit him 2, 3, 4 times before you could bring him down.
Yeah.
You never got him on the first time, ever.
Speaking of the Broncos and the Chiefs, you want to go to the AFC West next?
Let's do it.
All right, let's hit the AFC West and wrap up the NFL weekend that was. Coming right next year on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
It's time for a Blazers report on the Fan. The inside story on the Portland Trail Blazers. Brought to you by Aztec Willie's Taqueria.
The Portland Trail Blazers got their first win of the season last night behind Anthony Simons' 27 points, 6 assists. They get the rubber match against the New Orleans Pelicans, handling the game really from the outset, getting a lead up to as much as 24 before closing the game out, and you get the white flag waved by Willie Green of the Pelicans in the final 4 minutes. The Portland Trail Blazers got on the plane an hour after the game last night, took off for Sacramento Kings, where they take on the 0-2 Kings tonight at 7:30, looking for their first road victory, their first road opportunity. Portland, 12.5-point dogs. Listen, I get it's a back-to-back, but Sacramento hasn't exactly looked great. Again, not betting advice, but wink, wink, nod, nod. This Trailblazers Report on the Fan is brought to you by Aztec Willie's Taqueria, the best place to go before and after games or any event. Check them out in the corner of Southeast 50 and Broadway at AztecWillies.com.
Aztec Willie's Taqueria has been Portland's destination for homestyle Mexican food for 30 years. Get ready for your team with our daily happy hour from 3 to 6. Can't make the game? Watch it live at Aztec Willie's on the corner of 15th and Broadway. Mention this ad and get $2 off. Savings on orders of $10 or more.
Who's number one?
Brown sets, throws, going for the end zone, and it is intercepted. That's a great interception by Oregon.
Can the Ducks keep the momentum going?
They're getting their flowers for having the most impressive resume of the unbeatens to this point.
This just doesn't feel like another year where like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. They're just damn good.
Talk about it and get the inside story from the home of Oregon Ducks football. 1080.
There's still a lot of food left on the plate.
The Fan.
Robinhood is introducing forecast contracts so you can trade the presidential election. Through Robinhood, you can now trade financial derivatives contracts on who will win the U.S. presidential election, Harris or Trump, and watch as contract prices react to real-time market sentiment. Each contract you own will pay $1 on January 8th, 2025 if that candidate is confirmed as the next U.S. president by Congress. Learn more about the presidential election contracts on Robinhood at robinhood.com/election. The risk of loss in trading commodities interest can be substantial. You should therefore carefully consider whether such trading is suitable for you in light of your financial condition. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Commodity interest trading is not appropriate for everyone. Displayed prices are based on real-time market sentiment. This event contract is offered by Robinhood Derivatives, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Exchange and regulatory fees apply. Learn more at robinhood.com/election.
Hey, it's Isaac Ropp for Window Nation. October is a critical time to check your home's windows. If yours are cracked or leaking and won't open or stay open, then it's time to call the pros at Window Nation. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you'll get 2 windows free. Plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 24 months. With proven quality and service, it's no wonder thousands have trusted Window Nation. Don't miss out. Call 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Bound, bound, bound. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you, when judgment comes for you, what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide? When judgment comes for you, cause it's gonna, I should've put the body, please this is something to Charlie, in the booth is last body, and I'm gonna miss everybody,
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
What is this?
I hate AI.
Is this AI Arnold Schwarzenegger
Bone
singing
Thugs?
Bone Thugs? Got a hippopotamus?
I
love this.
You're welcome.
This sounds like when he has the short-circuiting mask in Total Recall.
Yeah. Pretty
2
good.
weeks.
So good.
2 weeks.
So you're welcome.
Good God. Now, speaking of disgusting things.
Oh, it's so good.
Kansas City Chiefs keep it rolling 27-20 over the Raiders. Like I said, there would be points. Regardless of whatever happens in this matchup, there's just points. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense. The Chiefs end up with more points, as you would expect, and Patrick Mahomes somehow just keeps it rolling.
They're 7-0.
Mm-hmm.
They may not lose.
Let me ask you something.
They have 1 game left in the rest of the season where they are currently not favored, and it is at the Buffalo Bills. Otherwise, they are favored in every single game remaining.
The one against Texans may be dicey for them. I don't know about that one, though, because, look, there's some flaws with what Houston is doing up front, especially their offensive line. They are struggling to protect C.J. Stroud. And obviously, the way Kansas City is playing right now, their defensive front, and they, oh, by the way, just got better. They got Josh Uche from the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to bolster that. That game could be sneaky. I think going to Pittsburgh on Christmas Day.
Mhm.
That one is also like a little spicy game. They should win that game, though.
Yeah.
They're going to be favored in that. They're going to be favored against
They're
the
not a
Texans.
team that's going to struggle in Pittsburgh in Christmas because it's cold.
But other than that, they got the Broncos a couple of times. They got the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Browns. They might go undefeated. They are finding new ways to win. Andy Reid is as creative as he's ever been in getting those points. But I'm going to be really interested to see what we see from DeAndre Hopkins, where he only had 2 catches for 29 yards. He hasn't even been on the team for a week. That could be another dangerous combination. And everybody that was worried about Travis Kelce at the beginning of the year, they were working through it. They were trying to figure out what they had. Travis Kelce's going to get his touches. He's going to get his catches as the season goes on. And he goes for 10 catches, 90 yards on National Tight Ends Day, and a touchdown. Everybody knew they were going to beat the Raiders, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I got out of that game, the roughing the passer penalty that Mahomes drew.
You showed me this because I didn't see it happen because I was watching the box score during the game.
Mahomes throws the ball on the run. Both he and the defender are looking at the play. Mahomes stops and backs up. And as the defender's watching the play down the field, he runs into Mahomes. Mahomes flops.
Just absolutely sends it.
15. That is just like, if you're a Chiefs fan, you love it. Right? That your
there's
quarterback is getting
Mahomes,
extra,
master of it. It's great.
Oh, my gosh.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. That shouldn't be a penalty. By the letter of the rule, it is a penalty. I despise that penalty, though. I don't like it.
That's an awful
I don't
call.
have to like it, but I can acknowledge it is a penalty. That guy didn't try to run into Mahomes. He was watching the play.
He literally, you can see him like gearing down. He's slowing down.
And Mahomes stops
in front
takes
of
a
him.
step back, and boom, they just bump into
It's
each other.
James Harden on a drive.
Dang.
It's just awful.
That sucked.
Yeah.
That sucked.
Also in the AFC West, the Denver Broncos going to win 28-14 over the Panthers. The Denver Broncos, the latest in a line of offenses to find a get-right game against the Panthers. Listen, if your offense is struggling, play the Panthers, ladies and gentlemen, because you will go out and you will put up crooked numbers. Bo Nix has his best game of his young rookie season, 28-37, 284, 3 tutties. The Broncos...
And a rushing touchdown.
You're correct. 4 total touchdowns. I love looking at his rushing stats because he has 5 carries for 4 yards with a long of 3, and you're like, wait, how does that? Okay, sure. But the Panthers are hot garbage. Bryce Young back out on the field looked horrendous.
He threw an interception on a corner route that I went, what?
What are you doing?
Underthrew a corner route,
What are
and
you
their
doing, bud?
DB's like, got it.
Thank
you. He was really bad. But I love Sean Payton after the game because Sean Payton just kept it very real.
Kept it a buck.
I wish we would have finished better. I said this, it's not a good offense we played. It's just the truth. So we expected that, and we're going to see a lot better teams.
They are, because they play a pissed-off Ravens team in Baltimore. Then they go to Kansas City the next 2 weeks. Then they get the Falcons at home and then go on the road to the Raiders. So this has been a good stretch. And if you're a Broncos fan, this is what you want to see. Bo Nix has been improving. They have looked like they have tightened things up. And defensively, they've been really damn good. They have. When Sean Payton says, I wish we would have finished that game a little bit better, he's talking giving up a late one to the Carolina Panthers, right? In that fourth quarter. I want to finish a little better. They were commanding that game. They was 28-7. And it looked like Carolina's will had been broken in that game. And when he says, wish we would have finished better, that's what he's talking about. The last drive of the game for Carolina, it was in doubt. There's no way they're going to win the game. I think they scored with like 20 seconds to go in the game to make it 28-14. That's what he's talking about. Like, wish we would have finished it better. Their defense has given up 14-10, 23 to the Chargers, 18-9, 7. They've been really good defensively. And I mean, even in their losses early, they lost 13-6 to the Steelers, and then 26-20 to the Seahawks to start the season.
It's just
their defense has been phenomenal.
Their defense is good. It's their
and
offense.
You've seen an uptick in it. Like, Bo Nix is playing a lot. He played light years. The last couple of weeks played light years better than Caleb Williams has. He has. Like, you can give me that look. He has. Okay. And they've won 5 of their last 6 games.
Yeah.
They have. And Nix is not going to be lighting up your stat sheet because, again, receivers are a problem.
Jeez.
They don't really have very many of them, and they don't have any good ones in Denver. But you're starting to see a comfort level. I think right now this draft class of quarterbacks is living up to it.
Pretty good.
Like, the Patriots got Drake May killed. Actually, kind of did it to himself. He's running the ball. But he got a concussion. He left the game. May's been playing well. Caleb Williams has been playing well. Jaden Daniels has been playing well. And Bo Nix is coming around over the last handful of games.
It's not 1983, but it's pretty damn good.
No, there's so much to be determined on how this draft class goes. But you're seeing that the flashes of these guys have been pretty damn special. And Nix finally controlling a game and looking like he's controlling a game.
I'm telling you, that Panthers team is wonderful for getting right.
They are so bad.
They have given up 180 points more than the San Diego Chargers have this year, or the Los Angeles Chargers. God.
They go to Baltimore this week.
Ooh.
They're not. I mean, you can get some more.
If the Ravens give up points to the Panthers, then it's worried.
Yeah. Well, no, Denver does.
Oh, gotcha.
Denver does. All right, that'll do it for us. Have a great Monday. We'll see you Tuesday, noon to 3, right here on 1080 The Fan. Up next, 4 hours of power from their mouths to yours. Prime time with Isaac and Sue.
Bye.
Hail Mary, hell yes!
That is the gut punch of gut punches.
Ahoy there, it's Souk. And let me ask you something. If you're losing your hair, you want and need a simple solution that works, right?